All right, everybody. You are now with us on a Tuesday evening in the year 2025. And you know what that means? It means we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, www.welikespортspc.com proudly presents to you its podcast Tag Team Champions of the World, the Cleat Geek Mike Valentine, Football with Cheese, and we are the 6, 4, 3 and out guys, and you're listening to the Sportz Truth. Cheese, my buddy, how have you been?
I've been well. How has Michael been? How has your week gone since our last podcast?
Oh, busy, and then more busy, man. We are trying to put everything together for this new venture I'm getting myself into, which of course is the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. Your team every day. We'll start that tomorrow. Man, I have entered. I always thought this was hard, right? This is easy. Just coming on here and talking with a good friend of mine and a bunch of other great friends that are tuning into us right now. But production and ads and doing all the other stuff, man, it's like they told me today, you have entered the big time podcast world now. So I guess I got to pull my pants up, put my big boy pants on, and let's go through with that one. But right now, we're just going to do this little small production here with myself and Cheese that we like to call the Sportz Truth. How you been, bud?
Been pretty good. If our viewers did not know, it's a very big deal. Michael is now doing the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, and there's a whole Locked On series for every, team out there. So that is a big deal for him. So make sure you check that out, especially if you're a Diamondbacks fan.
Yes, I appreciate that, sir. And of course, they can check out your spot. You do everything football. You don't just concentrate on one team. You concentrate on the whole league, buddy. So, of course, you can get that at Football with Cheese over on your YouTube channel. But I tell you what, man, before we get too far into this whole thing, I was doing some other stuff here. So let me get to the spot where I need to get to. I think I'm at it. No, I'm not. Hold on. I got to set all this up here for a second. All right, so we got to make sure we've got everything put together, and now I believe that we do, so that we can do the walk-up music.
Are you ready? 20 seconds start now. Ten seconds remaining. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, we let it slide down there. We put that a little bit softer in the background as we tell you exactly what we are doing today. Here's just a few of the topics that we'll be looking at here tonight on the Sportz Truth. We've already got double-digit people with us. We certainly appreciate all of you guys who are there. You can put your comments up here just like everybody else has. Ricky's already put up 2, and I'm sure everybody else with us will give us at least 2 as well. So before this show is out, we expect to have some big-time comments here. But first, should a player be suspended for having consensual sex? Uh-oh. The big 3-letter word, and we'll talk about it. Yes, don't look, Ethel! Half the people here will not get that joke, but that's okay.
It's sad that I did. It's
yeah. I'm an old guy, so I got it too, right? So, what about the odds to win the college football playoff. We'll look at that. Who has the best quarterback room in the NFC West? Who knows? Well, actually, we know, and then we'll share our views with you here in just a couple of seconds. As training camp starts in the NFL, what can we expect? Just wait till I ask Cheese some of these questions, and he'll give you some great insights as training camps start up this week. We'll take a quick look at the Baseball Hall of Fame. Who's going to get in? Is it on our bucket list? And some other things from MLB Baseball Hall of Fame. And then we'll look at the Yankees. They were stealing signs, but is that okay? I don't know. We'll have to do all kinds of stuff here, and we'll look at things. I had to get out of that spot where I was at here. They're stealing signs, and of course the Indians changed their name. So we got sign stealing and name changing. And we'll always now, because it's been a big hit with us. I don't know, Cheese, if you saw this last week, got a lot of comments on it. We are doing the Truth Top 10. And today, if you didn't see it on our Twitter account, at the 643 and Out Pod, we're going to do the Truth Top 10, the best standard current NFL uniforms. We'll do that and much more here on the Sportz Truth. Make it 3. What am I making 3? I can barely make 1. I don't know what you want me to make 3, buddy. Oh man, just give me a little more insight, would you? I'm not following.
I think he's trying to steal your signs. I think that's what's going on.
Oh, is that what he's doing? He's
yes.
jazz chiseling me over here.
Yes.
He's trying to steal signs from me.
He's trying to steal
All
signs
right,
from Michael.
all right.
Yes.
I see how this is.
Yes.
I see how this is. All right, buddy. So let's start off with college football, if you don't mind. You okay with that, Cheese?
As you know, one thing that I noticed when I did research before I started my channel was no one hardly ever talks about college football. So absolutely, let's get into it.
All right, fantastic. Now, this is a story we touched on a little bit last week. The BYU quarterback, Jake Retzloff, will be a walk-on in Tulane. And, of course, he was accused in May. And you told me this last week. You said that he violated some kind of covenant rule at BYU. And I just kind of brushed it off. And then I was like, you know what? We were talking off air how, come up with these questions and we put this show together, and Cheese is like, man, you're making me do a lot of research here. So I did the same thing, right? He gave me some tidbits last week, and I decided to take a dose of my own medicine. I did some research, and I came up with another topic that we're going to look at this week in college football. So here it is. Again, it's a story that we touched on last week. BYU quarterback Jake Retzloff will be a walk-on Tulane. He was accused in May in a lawsuit of sexually assaulting a woman while he was at BYU. The case was actually dismissed last month, but in the papers that they filed with the court, Retzloff admitted to having consensual sex, which is a violation of the BYU so-called honor code. So he was probably going to get a 7-game suspension. Therefore, he decided to leave BYU, and now he's going to be a walk-on at Tulane. So now that I researched all that, as Cheese had, given me a little bit of insight last week, I did all that. Buddy, I got 4 questions for you, and here we go. Here's the big one, right? Let's pull this one up on our board, and let's see what everybody else thinks about this as well. There it is. No, it's not. Hang on, that's the next segment. Yeah, like I told you, it's kind of hard to do this, So wait till I have to do the national one, and then you mess that one up. So
we need a secretary. We need Roz to their Frazier. That's what we need.
Right. We need like a producer or something here that I can point at and say, hey, you do? Can you? No. But since you have a budget for that,
I will reach out to the actress that played Roz on the Frazier show and see if she's available.
Okay, fantastic. I appreciate that, but you need to make sure we tell her we don't have a budget. Just so you know.
Yeah,
we're footing the bill for everything else. So I don't know how much more footing of a bill I can do here. So here's the first question when it comes to Jake Retzloff and BYU, and that is: should a player be suspended for having consensual sex? Cheese, what do you think, buddy?
I'll just say this. The BYU rules. whether you agree with them or not, you know the rules when you sign your letter of intent to play football at that university. So while a lot of people are going to say, that's crazy, that's way too harsh a punishment, it's BYU. And you have to know that going in. And if he wanted to do that, assuming it was just consensual, we don't know what happened, obviously, then he should not have played football there. So it's such a tough issue, but you know the rules when you go to BYU. So he should have played somewhere else if he wanted to do that.
Right. I mean, it's not like the honor code was made yesterday. I mean, it's been there for as long as the school's been there, right? I mean, I didn't know a whole lot about it until I researched it. Obviously you did by the comments you left last week. So I assume this code has been there at least since this, relatively soon since the school was done. So again, it's hard for me to feel sorry for him, and I think you agree with this. Hard for me to feel sorry for him when you should have known the rules up front.
Yeah, he broke the rules, and I get why he left, and I understand why they suspended him. I'm surprised, to be honest with you, they didn't just kick him out. That's what I expected them to do when you break the honor code.
Right. Now I got a couple more questions for you here on the same topic here, Cheese. Now, I think this is a good question. Myself and a couple of the other hosts and a couple of the guest hosts on this show have had this discussion before, but I've not had this particular discussion with you. I think it'd be interesting to get your point of view on this. Should religion and sports cross over like this?
I mean, no, it shouldn't. It can only lead to situations like this, but it's BYU. There's just they're unique university. There's Liberty, but obviously they're not a big time football program. I don't even know if Liberty has a football program, but BYU is unique. I don't like that there's a crossover, but he knew that when he signed his letter of intent.
All right, since I want to read you what he put out on his social media. This is his X page or his Twitter or whatever in the world Elon's calling it this week. So let me give you his exact quote from his X account. It says, "After a lot of prayer, reflection, and conversations with those I trust, I've made the difficult decision to officially withdraw from BYU and step away from the BYU football program. BYU has meant more to me than just football. It's been a place of growth, spiritually, mentally, and physically. I'm grateful for every teammate, coach, staff member, and fan who supported me along the way. The relationships and memories I've made in Provo will always be a part of me." And then he closes out by saying, "That said, I'm excited to turn the page and embrace the next chapter. My journey is far from over, and I'm more motivated than ever to keep chasing my goals." So here's the third of 4 questions for you, Cheese. Since Jake withdrew directly, he did not have to enter the transfer portal. Do you like this loophole?
No, it's horrible. Because anyone can just have a disagreement with the coaches or whatever and just withdraw and just go to another big time program. I mean, could a player get mad at Michigan and go to Ohio State? Could a player get mad at Georgia and go to Florida? Because that shouldn't happen. I really don't like the rule personally. In the past, if all our viewers do not know, when you transferred, you had to sit out a year. That was the rule. I think in conference maybe 2 years, but you had to sit out a year, and now you don't have to. And I still think you should have some kind of penalty for transferring. Maybe half the year, maybe at least 50% of the season. Say, okay, if there's 12 games, sit out 6. If there's 13, you have to sit out 7. And, at least 50% of the season you have to miss. Mm-hmm. And there should be some kind of penalty because all these small schools could have this breakout, unbelievable player, especially at quarterback. What are they going to do? They're going to get offers to play for Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas.
Right.
And I don't think there should be loopholes. I think you should have to sit out part of this season. And as far as withdrawing, no, it's Tulane versus BYU. That's obviously not Michigan, Ohio State, but still, it creates a loophole that other people are going to start to pay attention to.
Yeah, I don't really like the loophole either, but I tell you what I do like. I have to say, in the top right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see the new Sportz Truth logo. And then behind me on the television screen, if anybody's noticed yet, there's another new Sportz Truth logo. There's the name, says the 643 and up guys under it, and it's sitting on top of a baseball stadium. So Herrera did that for me. I'll make sure that I can give out all his information before I do live here on the Sportz Truth. But we had a guy do that for us. Thank him very much for all of these new logos that we've got here. As we say all the time, we continue to grow. We'll talk about that more organically here in a few moments. But I love the fact that here we are, almost a half 100 already, and we're only in the first question here. So fantastic fan response tonight. We appreciate it. Lastly, what does this do for Tulane? And is it negative or is it positive for them?
I don't necessarily think it's positive, but this story won't hurt them, I don't think. Are you talking about positive as in on the field or in the public?
No, I'm doing more perception. For the publicity standpoint. I mean, they get a good quarterback, but they got him in a controversial way. So, I mean, is it going to be, are people going to look at it as he's a good quarterback and that'll be the end of it? And they put a period at the end of that sentence? Or are they going to look at it as they got a controversial quarterback and give it a question mark or an exclamation point after the sentence?
Probably just a good quarterback because, I mean, he didn't rob a gas station. He didn't do a DUI that caused injuries. He had consensual sex, allegedly, So I don't think this is going to hurt Tulane. It's just going to probably make their fans happy they got an upgraded quarterback.
And I don't think it's allegedly, by the way. It's in court paperwork and everything else. And, I think we could take that word off the front. I know as podcasters and radio and personalities and stuff, it's one of those things that we like to stick at the front of every sentence. Like, we don't want to get blamed for this. So it might or may not have happened. But according to the is it I Like Me? Is that what the coffee cup is there? Your
mug check
to Gabriel? Yeah.
Gabriel got me in on this mug thing. Yes, this mug, it helps my self-esteem. When I get up in the morning and I have my coffee, this helps remind me that I like me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll have to, I was gonna do. In fact, I forgot to do it in the intro. I was gonna put Crazy Train in the intro there somewhere, but I can't play the music, of course, because we would have gotten banned off of YouTube and every other platform because we don't own any rights to that music. But I do want to say that, rest in peace. Ozzy Osbourne, who passed away earlier today, if you guys didn't know. So our second question of 4 in college football 4 wide here is this. Week 1 has Ohio State versus Texas in Columbus. So we looked at it last week from the Texas point of view, and we're going to look at it this week from the Ohio State perspective. We talked earlier about this loophole and, anyone who wants to get upset with a coach or something like that can transfer. Well, we've got another similar happening here with Ohio State. Believe it or not, Nick Saban actually helped Ohio State because Julian, I believe it's Sayin is the last name of their quarterback, entered the transfer portal after Saban stepped down in Alabama. He was ranked the number 2 pro-style quarterback in the 2024 class. So last week, Cheese, I asked you how much pressure was on Arch Manning. And this week, I'm going to ask you, because of all of those accolades and because he transferred from Alabama over to Ohio State, kind of a top 10 rival to a top 10 rival, how much pressure is on the Ohio State quarterback?
There's always pressure on the quarterback for Ohio State. always. And for those of you who don't know, he committed to Alabama because of Nick Saban. Some people go to Alabama for the tradition, for the university, or whatever, the program, but he went specifically for Nick Saban. And when Nick Saban retired, he transferred. And Julian actually was an early enrollment, which is very beneficial for quarterback. You know, they skip the second semester of senior year and they enroll college early. So he spent the spring with Alabama. But, and yeah, Nick Saban, I guess, helped him because, you know, do what's best for you. And you were behind Jalen Milroe. But I'll say this, even though he's a 5-star recruit, he doesn't have the Manning name behind him. And he is a lot smaller. He is not the 6'4", 230-pound quarterback. He's about 6'1", 200. So I think there's quite a bit of pressure. And considering that Will Howard was the MVP and they won the national title, you know, a lot is expected of him. What do you think?
I think there's a ton of pressure, like you said, on the actual quarterback. And I think there's more pressure on him probably for something that you didn't mention, which I'm a little surprised you didn't mention it, actually. I think there's a ton of pressure on him because he is surrounded traditionally and this year by great receivers. I mean, he doesn't have an excuse, right? He can't say, well, I couldn't throw to any good receivers. You know, basically Ohio State is known as Receiver U now. And the tradition continues with Jeremiah, I believe, Smith.
Jeremiah Smith. Yeah. Actually, I was going to mention that. I just didn't want to talk too long. I had Jeremiah Smith in my notes, but I was like, I've talked for like a minute straight. Let Michael talk.
I appreciate you passing that off to me.
Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith, if anyone doesn't know, is maybe probably the best receiver in the country, and he was a true freshman. That's how good he is. He's incredible. He's better than any of those Ohio State receivers drafted the last couple of years, which is an insane thing to say.
Well, here in a moment, we're going to do the odds for the college national playoff. But next week, we're going to look at the odds for who will win the Heisman Trophy. And Jeremiah Smith is relatively high on that list. So just wait till next week, and we'll tell you exactly how good not only he is, but how good everyone else thinks he is, or at least Vegas does. And a lot of times they're the ones that matter. They push those envelopes to the extreme here. Let me set up the next question for you. So last year, Chip Kelly was the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, and he went this year to the Las Vegas Raiders. Last year, the defensive coordinator was Jim Knowles, and he went to his hometown, which was Penn State. So Ohio State now has a new offensive coordinator in Brian Hartline, who used to be their receivers coach, I believe, and a new defensive coordinator in Matt Patricia. Some of you may recognize that name. I'll let Cheese talk about him if that's what he wants to do here in a moment. So does it make a huge difference that Ohio State all of a sudden has a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator?
It can. It's easier in college than the NFL because there's a lot more turnover in college. A lot of people go pro or graduate or whatever. So it's not the majority of the people in the same system. So it's not as big a deal to me in college. But Brian Hartline, let's talk about him. If you don't know who he is, he was a 4th-round pick of the Dolphins back, I want to say, 15 years ago, maybe. And he's the classic overachiever. He didn't have the great combine. He ran like a 4.58, but he ran good routes. He got the most out of it. He had 2 really good seasons for Miami. Played probably 6-7 years for the Dolphins. Just an overachieving type player. Those type of players make great coaches. So I'm not worried about him at all. I think he's a future college head coach. Now let's talk about Matt Patricia. If you don't know who Matt Patricia is, he was a defensive coordinator for Bill Belichick in New England. And he got the head coaching job at Detroit Lions, and it did not go well. He rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. His personality doesn't always mesh. He works better, I guess, as a defensive coordinator. Sometimes head coaches, you need to be a leader, and your personality can rub a lot of people the wrong way. It works easier as a coordinator. But he's a big name, and that can only help recruiting. And obviously, Ryan Day has to keep talking about it, though. He has to keep defending it to the media. So that's not good. So that's a little distraction. But at the same time, we got a former NFL head coach, a successful defensive coordinator. Let's be honest, like Bill Belichick was a defensive coach before he became a coach. He's a very good defensive coach. And he's had coordinators like Patricia, Romeo Crennel, very good defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL for the Vikings, all learned under Belichick. So Patricia's a good defensive coordinator. I mean, these hires look so good on paper, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, he did this with Chip Kelly last year. I remember when I heard, first of all, last year was the first year that Ryan Day gave up offensive play calling. And personally, I think it's really hard for you to coach a program like Ohio State from the sidelines and call all of the offensive plays at the same time. I think that would be incredibly difficult. So I was a little surprised when he brought in Chip Kelly and gave the play calling over to him. So Chip only lasts 1 year. He gets in that system. He proves himself at Ohio State and then gets another offensive coordinator job with the Raiders. I wouldn't be surprised if Chip Kelly would get another NFL head coaching job. I mean, he's been with USC as well. So, I mean, he's been a lot of other places, came into Ohio State, did well, got to move on. I'm wondering if Matt Patricia gets to do the same thing. Now, honestly, I think Hartline is probably, I'm not going to say an Ohio State lifer, but I think he's going to hang out there at Ohio State and see how much longer Ryan Day goes. And then I think what you said is going to come true eventually. He will probably be the head coach of Ohio State before it's all said and done. What are your feelings on that?
We'll see what happens. I'm not necessarily, saying Ohio State, maybe he's a lifer, but I love hiring coaches, whether head coach or position coaches, that overachieved in the NFL, that were smarter, that, just looking at his combine, when we were, talking about, this topic, I was doing research and I'm just looking, his athleticism score was so bad, but he still was a 4th round pick based on production. And he had a couple years, we had over 70 catches. I mean, he had some really good years in the NFL. I love players like that. They usually become really good head coaches.
Okay, excellent. I asked the same question last week, but like I said, we looked at the Texas end of it last week. This week, we're looking at the Ohio State end of it. And by the way, fans, if you're saying, well, why are they talking college football? It's because there are only 4 Saturdays left until the very first college football game. And this game, yeah, I mean, either this game that we are talking about is the marquee game of week number 1. So that's why we're previewing this game a little bit here. So if Ohio State loses this game, can they still make the college football playoff?
Well, they lost to Oregon. They lost to Michigan, still made it. Yes, absolutely. Looking at their schedule, I'm not going to say they're a lock, but they're as close to a lock as possible. Because even if they lose to Texas, there's just not many games based on the talent that they could lose. At Washington, maybe they lose, very small chance. At Illinois, at Wisconsin, they're not going to lose those. At Purdue, they get Penn State at home. At Michigan, they could lose, of course, but UCLA at home, they're not going to lose more than 2 of those at most. Even if they lose to Texas, they probably won't lose more than 1 or 2. So it would be shocking if they did not make the playoff.
I agree with you. I still think they can make it. I think Texas can too, like we said last week. And I think both of these teams are very, very smart to make this huge game week 1. Because by the time we get to the end of the season, I'm not going to say that people will forget about it, but it won't be as damaging towards the end of the season because this game is being played so early in this season. We got 2 more things here to do with this particular question, and then we've got odds to win the college football playoff. And then we have our Twitter poll question that I put up about 5 hours ago. Let me preview it for you right now. That way you can go over to our X spot at the 643 and Out Pod, and you can vote real quick. 200 or so people have looked at this already. We got a bunch of votes on it. Yeah, it's really close. Yeah, it's really close. So here's the question. You can only choose one of these outcomes for the Ohio State Buckeyes football team. So you choose one of these two. You can choose number one, they go back to back and win the college football playoff, or two, they will not make the college football playoff. So vote on whichever one of those two, choice one or choice two, you believe will happen this upcoming football season. And we'll have the results for you right here on the Sportz Truth in about 10 minutes or so. So yes, we decided all of that. So now let's transition right into these odds. The odds to win the college football national playoff. Here we go. Let me give you the top 10. I'll start down below with number 10. Number 10 at plus 2,200 is Michigan. Number 9 is a tie, Alabama and LSU, and they are both plus 1,500. So because there's a tie there, we'll go up to 7. 7 is a plus 1,400 team, and that team is Notre Dame. Clemson comes in at number 6 at plus 1,300. Oregon, there's a huge gap here. We'll probably talk about this here for a second. So Clemson is plus 1,300 at number 6, and at number 5 is Oregon, and they are plus 800. That's a big gap in the gambling world there between 5 and 6. 4 is Penn State at plus 750. 3 is Georgia at plus 650. And tied for number 1 are the two teams we're talking about in the previous segment, and we'll continue to talk about in this one for a few more minutes, Texas and Ohio State, and they are at plus 500. Is there anybody in that realm right there, Cheese, that you just don't understand why they're in that spot as far as the rankings for being able to win the national college football playoff?
I don't think there's anyone that's like really surprising. I guess Michigan, was 7-5 last year. So them in the top 10, that would be the only real surprise. But, it's Michigan. They recruit really well. So, so they're going to be higher odds. Even if they're not a top 10 team, they're going to be, in the Vegas odds. So that would be the only one I'm really surprised about. The other 9, makes sense going in the season.
All right, let me update you guys real quick here. I'm going to try to start doing this a little bit more while we're doing everything with our show. Let me give you all the finals from baseball earlier today. The finals were the Cleveland beat Baltimore 6-3. Miami just beat San Diego 4-3. Washington Nationals beat the Reds 6-1. Philadelphia again beat Boston 4-1, and Tampa Bay by 1 run over the Chicago White Sox at 4-3. Here in a few moments, when we take another bit of a break, I'll give you the games that are ongoing and the scores in those MLB games. There's only one real surprise here for me, and if you look, right, Texas, OSU, Georgia, Penn State, Oregon, Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, LSU, Michigan, they're pretty much all what we're going to call them blue blood type schools, right? There's no there's no surprise as far as, there's not a Boise State in here, or there's not a Nebraska or anything like that. But there are some notable colleges missing, like, there's no USC in here. There's no Miami. There's no Florida State. So I'm kind of wondering, have we, these are all Big Ten and SEC teams with the exception of Clemson and Notre Dame. Are we switching to thinking that those are the two dominant conferences in college football?
They are. They are. There's no conference even close. It's not just at the top, the depth too. They're stronger at the top and they're deeper. You saw how the ACC did in the playoff. It wasn't good. Arizona State at least hung in there, but overall, yeah, the Big Ten and SEC, for what they've added, it's, you add Oregon and, the SEC adds Texas. That's just huge. And the Big 12 and the ACC just cannot compete. And if you count Notre Dame as ACC, which they're really not, but
no, they're independent.
They play I think they play partial ACC schedule. So if you're an ACC team, you just pray you don't get the rotation. You still want to play Notre Dame. So, yeah, the Big Ten and the SEC are just so much better than any other conference.
All right. All right. So when we're looking at all these teams, right? And, you know, of course, obviously there's 10 of them. Which one would you put your money on? Let me give you the odds again here. So Texas OSU at 500, Georgia is plus 650, Penn State 750, Oregon 800, Clemson 1300, Notre Dame 1400, Alabama 1500, as well as LSU is at 1500, and then Michigan, even though they're in the top 10 at number 10, they are at 2200. So if I'm giving you $100 and saying I want you to make the most out of this money, Cheese, I know where I'm putting my money out on which team. Which team are you going to put your money on?
You know, when you sent me this, we're going to talk about this. Mm-hmm. I thought about this for quite a while because I like a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
But I don't think any team is as good as Ohio State was last year. I don't. And I think this is a free-for-all. I think this is going to be crazy college football season. I just don't see that team just can do some of the things like Ohio State did. There's no team that can dominate Tennessee the way Ohio State did in that playoff. I'm going to go with Clemson. I'm going to take Clemson for two reasons. Okay. One, they have as much NFL draft talent as anyone. Not necessarily the most talent in college football, but the most like juniors and seniors. The most. I'm looking at how many Clemson prospects for next year's draft. And the last two champions were Ohio State, Michigan, and both those teams had the most players drafted in the NFL the year after they won the title. So I'm looking at all. Clemson is just absolutely loaded this year. They didn't lose a lot last year.
Right.
And they play in the ACC. I'm looking at their schedule. It's really easy. They play LSU the first week. Can't wait for that game. It's not Texas Ohio State, but I'm really excited about that game. But after that, they play Florida State. Florida State stunk last year. They don't play Miami. So they don't have that. You know, at Boston College, at UNC, at Georgia Tech. I mean, these are like at Louisville. Those are their hardest games. That's it. South Carolina on the road. Okay, maybe their two toughest games are probably LSU and South Carolina, which aren't even conference games. So I'm just looking at their schedule. Plus, they play Furman, they play Troy. You know, I'd be shocked if Clemson, you know, didn't win the ACC, and if they do, they're going to be a top 4 seed. So, yeah, I put my money on Clemson.
Okay, I'll give you a little tidbit. I'm gonna let this cat out of the bag here. I am pretty sure that I'm going to be able to get a player from Furman to come on this show the week that they play Clemson. So this should be interesting. I have a couple contacts, so I'm gonna see what I can do there. I'm not promising anything yet, but I'm trying really hard to get that person to come on. It's one of those friend of a friend of a friend kind of things, and hopefully all the friends hold hands and they let the shot go through them all till it gets to the guy I want. So yeah, that'd be fantastic if we can do that. I'm going to put my money on Notre Dame because we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Man, their receiver room, right? If you remember, Plexico Burris' son, Jerome Bettis' son. Who's the guy from the Packers?
Jermichael Finley's son.
Yes, Jermichael Finley's son. Thank you. His name slipped my mind. I appreciate you being the Packer fan and being able to help me out with that one. And then, of course, Larry Fitzgerald's son. And those guys, if you didn't listen to our show 3 weeks ago, that was on that one, how we talked about those receivers in that receiver room for Notre Dame. Those are probably the only people who can rival the Ohio State receivers. And I think that I got a text from, or not a text, we got a reply from Cowboy Reggie, who is involved with us at www.welikesportspc.com. Read some of the exchanges I had between some people when I asked the Twitter poll question, which we will get to here in just a couple of seconds after I tell you this. Next week, we're going to do the score and who wins between Ohio State and Texas. So we're saving that for next week. And then the week after that, I'm going to let this cat out of the bag too, because you just convinced me to do this about a minute and a half ago.
Okay.
I'm going to let you ask me some questions about the LSU Clemson game that will be week 1 in 2 weeks' time on our college football segment, College Football 4 Wide. So let's do our final question, and it is our Twitter poll question. Here it comes. You can only choose one of these 2 outcomes for the Ohio State Buckeyes football team. The first outcome is they go back-to-back and win the college football playoff. And the second one is they will not make the college football playoff. So we asked our fans to vote. I'm going to ask Cheese first, and then I will give you the results. Cheese, which one of those 2 choices would you make for Ohio State? They go back-to-back, or they don't make the playoffs at all?
This was such a good question because I had to think. You know how you see a poll question on X and you just, oh, that's easy. Click that one.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had to think about it. You know, we don't want me thinking too much.
No,
so,
I don't want you to have gray hair. I mean, you know, that hair you got there, at least you have some. I'm pretty much done. That's why I have these big headphones on. So, you know.
There's some gray in the beard. Okay. But if I had to choose one or the other, I chose choice 1. I don't think Ohio State's going to miss the playoff. They're too talented, and I think there's a better chance they win it all again than miss the playoff. But it's going to be harder than it was this past year. So yeah, we'll see. What do you think?
I'm in the same boat with you. I did this because it's not a poll question that you can. It's not a cupcake poll question, right? And you started to mention that, you know, there's a lot of these. There's a lot of these questions that come out on X that people don't want to think about, and they don't want to think about, right? They just want to, you know, mindlessly click a button and be done. I'm kind of in the other mindset where I like to make people think on these poll questions. So I tried to choose something that was a little more difficult. And I didn't give you a lot of choices on this one. You only had the one, you know, the first one or the second one. Now, to be honest, it's going to be really hard to go back-to-back. Mm-hmm. We both know that. All of our fans know that. Whether you're really into college football or not, it's hard to go back-to-back in any sport. So I'm not sure if they're going to do that, but I also can't see them not making the playoffs. So I'm still going to choose the top one, and I'm going to cross my fingers and hope they can go back-to-back.
Yeah, and yeah, it's very tough to go back-to-back, and they lost as much as anyone in the draft, but, you know, they recruit behind it, so I wouldn't count them out.
Right. All right, buddy. We are going to jump into our NFL talk. All right, buddy. So we're going to look at the Green Bay Packers. We're going to look at the quarterback rankings in the AFC West. Why did you look at me like that when I said we're going to look at the Green Bay Packers? Did you forget a question?
No, who is that? I don't know.
Oh. And then we're going to look at training camps, what we can expect out of them. They started up this week. And then last, this should be a fun little segment that I might do every once in a while. You know, I don't know about the rest of our group here, but I sure hope they do. I sure hope they listen to your podcast like I do. And the very last thing we're going to do in our NFL 4-down territory today is I'm going to give you a chance to defend your cheese chatter. And we'll get to that here in just a couple moments. All right, so the first question, Cheese. Your Green Bay Packers have agreed to a 4-year, $88 million contract extension with tight end Zach Tom. And here are the 3 questions on this contract extension. The contract could actually escalate from $88 million to $92 million. With a record, as a record for an offensive line player, they are doing a $30.2 million signing bonus. Mm-hmm. So not talking about the player, not talking about the team, not talking about any of those other teams, but strictly talking about the contract. Do you like how this contract was structured?
I do. Packers are very clever at the way they structure. That's all it's guaranteed. So even though it's a signing bonus,
That's not the way this works, but okay, maybe. You never know. We've gone off the rails a few times before. Maybe, maybe because of Ozzy, maybe we'll just, go off on the crazy train or something. You never know. Ask and see what happens.
So $30.2 million. Okay, huge signing bonus for offensive linemen, obviously. But that's all it's guaranteed. So $88 million contract, maybe 92. That's all that's guaranteed. Green Bay typically structures their contracts like that only the signing bonus is guaranteed. So you have to prove yourself. Yes, we'll pay you. We'll give you a higher, APV. We'll give you more per year than maybe other team will, but you got to prove yourself. And when you do that, you don't get stuck in salary cap prison where the next year you're like the New Orleans Saints the last few years. You're 30, 40 million over the cap to start the season, and it's just hell on earth to get out of it. So it is a big signing bonus, but there's nothing else guaranteed on the contract if, from what I researched, unless, something hasn't come out yet. So it's a good move.
Okay. So you like all that. He started every game for the Packers each of the last 2 seasons, but he's never made a Pro Bowl. So never made a Pro Bowl on one side, starting every game for 2+ seasons on the other side. So do you meet in the middle with his value, or where is his value at as far as what he means to the Green Bay Packers, Cheese?
Pro Bowl is a popularity contest. I don't care about Pro Bowls. He's a very good player. If he was a first-round pick, he would have made multiple Pro Bowls, but he's a 4th-round pick. When fans are voting, they remember first-round picks. They don't remember a 4th-round center from Wake Forest that moved to right tackle. And it's one of the most underrated. He's one of the most underrated players in the game. He's a very good run blocker. He's a very good pass blocker. He's not elite at both, but he's very good at both. And I have watched every Packer game. I actually watched the Packer games twice. I watch them again the next day. There's one game I can remember where he had a bad game. I'm not saying he was dominant in those other games, but there's one game ever they had a bad game, and it was at home, I believe, in 2023 against Aiden Hutchinson, where he gave up 5 pressures, and that's Aiden Hutchinson. He's so consistent. He's the best run blocker on that offensive line, and he's a good pass blocker. And most people don't know about him because he was a 4th-round pick, and he was actually a center at Wake Forest, but they needed help at right tackle. They moved him out there, and ever since, he's been terrific. So more people need to know about Zach Tom and how good he is.
All right, so we're going to stay on this kind of line of thinking for a minute because, to be honest, when I saw it, I shot you over a message pretty quick after I saw it.
Yes.
And I did it because, to be honest with you, I didn't know who the guy was. Just being honest, right? Yeah. I didn't, so I had to research him, and then I'm like, you know what? Why research him when I got the best Packer person in the world, right there on my messages, and I can just simply shoot him over something. He'll tell me, right? So we've looked at the actual contract itself. We've looked at how valuable he is to the Green Bay Packers. And now in this third and final question, before we get into the divisional quarterback ranking room in the AFC West, and we're going to look at it a little differently. We'll explain that to you in a moment. It's not just the best quarterback, it's the quarterback room. All right, so we're looking at it a little different than most places do. But here's the final question about Tom, and that's his rookie contract was 4 years and $4.16 million. And no, this is not, I would say, a typo if you'd see it in front of you. I guess if I'm talking to you, it's not a typo. It's a Speako or something. I don't know. But this is not one of those things, right? So his first contract was 4 years, $4.16 million. And his next contract is 4 years and $88 million. That can, with escalators, go to $92 million. Jiminy Christmas, geez. Justify the huge pay increase between those 2 contracts.
Dan Moore got over $20 million from the Steelers this past year. He's not a great player. Offensive tackles get paid in the open market. If he was a free agent this past year, he would have gotten $24, $25 million. He would have. I know you haven't heard of him. A lot of people haven't because he was a 4th-round pick. And you mentioned no Pro Bowls. Let me just bring up a couple players. I'm going to use the center position as an example. Ryan Kelly is a center. He was drafted by the Colts. Now he's with the Vikings. He signed a 4-year, $50 million extension in 2020 with the Colts.
Okay.
So that's 5 years ago. And he's been to 4 Pro Bowls. He has never, in my opinion, been a top 5 center in the league. Has he been an above average, even a good player? Yes. But he was a 1st-round pick. Because he was a 1st-round pick, he got paid, a lot more than he should have. To me, that was a big overpay. And I'm going to mention another Viking. Well, now he's on the Patriots. Garrett Bradbury, former Viking. He's on the Patriots now. He's a center, 1st-round pick. And he even got his 5th-year option declined by the Vikings because he was a below-average player. He was a 1st-round player that shouldn't have been the 1st round. He's never been good. He's not terrible, but he's never been good. And the Vikings still extended him 3 years, $15.75 million. And if he was a 4th-round pick like Zach Tom, he would have gotten maybe a 1-year, $3 million deal. But he got 3 years, $15.75 because he was a 1st-round pick. And I guess the Vikings felt like we don't want to be without the center position next year. And he really played horrible down the stretch for the Vikings. He got released, and now he's on New England. So if you're drafted in the 1st round, you're going to get paid more than most. So people look at that 4 years, $88 million. Wow, that's a lot for Zach Tom, but it really isn't. Because if he was a 1st-round pick, he would have gotten $25 million a year at least.
Yes, but you're kind of playing into my devil's advocate part of this question, right? Which is the Packers picked him in the 4th round. Therefore, he should get 4th-round money. If all these other guys you're mentioning should get 1st-round money, then Tom should get 4th-round money. Why are they giving him such a huge payday?
Glad you asked. That's the next point, because he's a lot better than those players. He's not getting Penei Sewell money, who was the 7th overall pick of the Lions. He's probably the best, 2nd best right tackle in the game. I'm going to say Lane Johnson's still the best right tackle for the Eagles.
Okay. And
so
if you
he's
disagree
not,
with these, please. Comments are right over there.
Yeah.
You heard what he said. Now let's have him. Let's let him have it. So
Detroit Lions fans get so mad at me all the time, but he's not as good as those 2 players. But to me is 1 notch down, and 4 years, $88 million for his play. Just look at analytics. Analytics love Zach Tom for his production. The way he's played the last 2 years, that according to the market value, they honestly got a steal. And I think it's one of those where he had 1 year left on his contract. He probably took a little less than he would have gotten in the open market. And the Packers probably gave him a little more than they wanted, but it's, that's the way negotiations are. And, I'm very happy. And Jordan Love's very happy because he's a very good right tackle.
Okay. I guess you did kind of answer the question. You justified that money. That's a huge bump. So I wanted to take a look at it and find out exactly why he got that. Hang on.
Wait until Puka Nacua gets paid. He was a 5th-round pick. Wait till he gets paid.
Yeah. What? What'd you say about diarrhea or something? What was that?
Puka Nacua. He's a wide receiver.
Okay. I thought you said, you were pooping in something. I was like, what? What are you doing, Cheese?
Oh, Michael, where your mind goes. Puka Nacua was a 5th-round pick. He may be, one of the best receivers in the NFL, definitely top 5 receiver. Wait till he gets paid by the Rams. So,
all right. So why don't you, since you know this person, obviously, why don't you answer her question for her, sir?
Him.
Oh, is it him? I'm sorry.
Yes, on X. It's also being streamed on X. So, Kevin, you can go to X, and I will message you the link right now.
Yes. Fantastic. And then I guess I thought it was going to be Kim. I just saw the KML.
K stands for Kevin. That's his initials. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So what about your YouTube channel, sir? Where can, if they can't read scrolling across the bottom of the screen, it's in smaller print. So maybe some of the old people about my age can't quite do that. So if they can't, please tell us where they can find you at on YouTube, sir.
Yeah, it's at Football with Cheese. Cheese is spelled Cheez. So yeah, just go there. You can check out all my videos. I've made, I think, over 170 now since January. I, make 5 or 6 a week. So check those out and follow me on X at Football Cheese. Basically the same thing without the with.
All right, excellent. He does have fantastic content. That's why I reached out to him. Speaking about being on people's podcasts, I will plug the Red Hot Reds podcast tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time. I will be on that particular show. We've already recorded it and everything else, and then also be on the lookout. If you are a Diamondbacks fan, or if you're just a baseball fan, be on the lookout for Locked On Diamondbacks as well. I will be the new host starting tomorrow of that nationally branded show. So let's move into our second topic here. Let's put it up here on the board. And it is this: who has the best NFL quarterback room in the AFC West? Now, please, everyone, give me just a second here. Anybody can rank quarterbacks. Cheese and I have decided, well, mostly me. Cheese is just along for the ride on this one. But so I want to look at the actual room, because as we have discussed before, 1 or 2 games in the football season is usually either won by or is won because of the backup quarterback. So we'd like to look at the complete quarterback room. And we're going to do that with the AFC West, the Denver Broncos, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Las Vegas Raiders in that order. So here's their current quarterback room. I'll do each one of them. We'll talk about them, and then we will actually rank them at the end. So, Cheese, here's the Denver quarterback room. You have Sam Elfinger, maybe? I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough, right? He's probably not going to matter anyway, because it's the other 2 guys that we're going to get to.
He was pretty good at Texas. Yeah.
Was he pretty good at Texas? Okay, we got a Texas theme going on here a little bit today, so that's fine. So you got Sam, that's how we'll leave it, that played in Texas, right? Big T, Sam there. Then you've got, of course, Bo Nix. We're taking these in alphabetical order here. So Bo Nix is second, and then Jared Stidham. So can you talk about the quarterback room for the Denver Broncos for us, Chiefs?
Bo Nix was very good his rookie year. His first 3 games, he threw 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. It was not going well. After that, after week 3, he threw 29 touchdowns, 8 interceptions the rest of the year. He got better as the season went on. So he was outstanding. And I should have seen it coming with Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix as the 2 best rookie quarterbacks. They both started 5 years. They both started 5 years in college. They were ready. They were the most pro ready. So the backups, I guess Stidham is the backup. Not the best. You like a better backup than that. But Bo Nix, sky's the limit.
All right, so that is our Denver Bronco quarterback room. And I can tell you, because I've listened to the podcast, and so can you, over at Football with Cheese. He did recently the top, I believe, 15, right? 15 or 16? Which one was it? 15?
I did the top 15 quarterbacks. You can check it out on my channel. Yep.
Absolutely, the top 15 quarterbacks. And I will tell you, Denver fans out there who are listening to us right now.
I should have put Nick Sire. I should have put Nick Sire. So Denver fans, don't get mad at me if you do watch it.
No, I think you should go watch it. And I think you should not only get mad at Cheese, you should get pissed. So he is in their top 15. But yes, where at, you won't know until you go over to Football with Cheese and listen to that particular podcast. Let's move to Kansas City's quarterback room. It has got, of course, Patrick Mahomes. It has got Gardner Minshew. It's got Chris. Oh, my gosh. Why can't these people have regular names?
He doesn't matter anyways. He's not going to play unless there's major.
Okay, injuries. Some guy named Chris with the last name that I am going to butcher if I try to pronounce it. And then Bailey Zappa, right? I think that's how you say it. Zappe. I think it's Zappy or Zappa. So you got Minshew, you got Mahomes, and 2 other guys. So talk to me about the Kansas City quarterback room, Chiefs.
Yeah, it's probably one of the better quarterback rooms in the NFL. Definitely. You got Patrick Mahomes. Gardner Minshew is a below average starter, but he's, above average backup. Bailey Zappi, we'll call it Zappy. he's been a backup in New England. So if he's your number 3, that's pretty good too. So it's good at the top and it's deep.
Okay. So that we've looked at Denver, we looked at Kansas City. Now let's look at the Los Angeles Chargers quarterback room. He has Taylor Heineke, Justin Herbert, Trey Lance, and DJ. I ain't gonna try to pronounce that guy's last name either. Just take a look at their roster, and you can try to pronounce it for yourself. So you've got Taylor Heineke, Justin Herbert, Trey Lance. All 3 of those guys, I, as not the huge NFL guy, not near as big as you, I have heard of all 3 of those guys. So tell me about the Chargers quarterback room.
Well, Taylor Heineke, he's been a solid backup in the NFL. I believe it was with Atlanta. He was a spot starter, came in and actually did pretty well.
Washington, wasn't it?
I kind of want to look it up. I think he played for Washington too. But okay, maybe the chat can help.
Yeah, but we can both be right. Like, somebody in the chat can tell us or correct us or yell at us or
I have to know.
Okay, that's fine. So we're looking at them, right? That's Heineke is who you're looking at now. And they also have Justin Herbert and Trey Lance. So what about Trey Lance, real quick?
If Trey Lance, yes, mostly for Washington, his career. He did play for Atlanta 1 year. He started a lot. In 2021, he started 15 games for Washington. He started 4 for Atlanta in 2023. Okay, so
all right,
his numbers,
19 total starts in his career.
Well, his actually started 29 games.
Oh, well, look
his
out.
stats don't look great, but for a backup, they're not bad. Like for a starter, they look really bad, but not terrible. So he's going to be the backup. If Trey Lance has to play, you're screwed. You're totally screwed. You do not want that guy playing for quarterback for you. He stinks in the preseason. You watch him in the preseason with Dallas. He's not even good against backups. So you don't want him to play.
Okay. Well, tell us how you really feel next time. And then the last team we're going to look at here in the AFC West is the Las Vegas Raiders. You have Cam Miller. I can't believe it. A third starter that I can actually say his name. I'm so proud. Cam Miller, yes. Adrian O'Connell and Geno Smith. So tell us about the Las Vegas quarterback room, Cheese.
So I believe it's Aiden O'Connell, but
what did I say?
I think you said Aiden, but maybe you didn't. Okay.
No. Okay.
Okay. But Aiden O'Connell has proven to be not very good as a starter. They gave him a shot. It didn't go well. Obviously, Geno Smith is the starter. Here's the thing with Geno Smith. He has been really good the last 2 years outside the red zone, like really good. His numbers are as good as maybe top 5 quarterbacks.
Okay.
But he has really struggled in the red zone. And that's a problem. Now, having Ashton Gianti, is good because you can use him in the red zone. But if Geno Smith was just productive in the red zone, he'd be a top 10 quarterback in this league. That's how well he's played the last 2 years. He's just got to clean that up.
Wow.
And Cam Miller was a 6th-round pick at North Dakota State. He has a weak arm. I did not think he'd be drafted, so I don't think he's going to factor in at all.
Yeah, but if he's your practice squad guy, which is what a lot of these, 3rd and 4th people are, then okay, he's not going to cost you much money, and you put him there just in case, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so then let's do it here. We are going to rank the divisional quarterback rooms in the AFC West. Out of the 4 teams, Denver, Kansas City, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Las Vegas Raiders, who is going to come in at 4 for you, Cheese, in your quarterback room rankings for the AFC West?
Las Vegas Raiders are 4.
Las Vegas Raiders are 4.
Yep.
I'm going to actually put them a notch up. Believe it or not, I love Bo Nix. I do, but there's nothing after Bo Nix. So if I'm sticking true to how I'm ranking these rooms, right, and ranking it as an actual room, I'm going to have to put Denver as the 4th ranked quarterback room here.
I have to look up Jared Stidham now. I have to look up Jared Stidham now. We got to see. We got to see if he's done anything. He actually used to be. He used to be on the Raiders. Yeah, he started 4 games ever. Never really done anything. Okay, I get it.
Okay. So I take it we're probably going to switch that, right? So I'm going to put Denver at the bottom. You're going to put Vegas at the bottom, and I'm going to assume you're going to put we're just going to flip flop because I'm
Denver
going to
third.
put Vegas next, and you're going to put Denver next, right?
Correct.
All right. So now here's a little bit of a, which one is going to be better here? We're going to do the Patrick Mahomes, Gardner Minshew, or are we going to do the Justin Herbert and Taylor Heineke? As far as which one of those two is better, the Chiefs or the Chargers?
Which one's better? Who would I first
Yes.
or what? Okay.
Well, I tell you what. No, you're right. I went backwards. I should stick with backwards. Who are you going to put at number 2?
I'm going to put the Los Angeles Chargers at number 2. I just think Mahomes is a notch ahead of Herbert, and Minshew versus Heineke. Maybe it's a push, but even if it's a push, Mahomes ahead of Herbert. So I'll go with the Chargers at 2.
Right. And I 100% agree with you as far as the push part goes, because I was looking at it the same way. And you have to say, even though I don't like the guy, you have to say that Mahomes is better. Take your biases out and look at numbers and look at who is actually better. And to be honest with you, Cheese, until Herbert proves that he can do it in the postseason, Mahomes is going to be the best quarterback in that division by far.
Herbert, 0 playoff wins, 0.
Correct.
So
correct. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at there. So we have looked at the Green Bay Packers and their signing of Zach Tom. We talked about that. We have now ranked the divisional quarterbacks in the AFC West. Before we jump into training camps and what we can expect there, I want to tell you this, and I want to thank everybody for it. We've added almost 200 new followers on our X platform at the 643 and Out Pod this week alone. The podcast was viewed over 350 times this week between X and YouTube. So we are growing, and we thank you. I gave the plug for at the 643 and Out Pod. Cheese, what is your X platform so you can do yours as well, sir?
So at Football with Cheese, as you can see on the screen, Cheese, Cheez. Check out my channel. I recently did top 15 quarterbacks. I talked about the Terry McLaurin situation in Washington. What a mess. He's obviously holding out. So, check those videos out.
All right, fantastic. We certainly will. Let's put this topic up on the board here as we do 2 of the headlines in a row. As NFL training camps start, what can we expect? So let's look at the different people and what they can expect within the organization of a football family, as we'll call it here, because we're going to start with the fans, Cheese. What should fans expect as NFL training camps start this week?
Fans should expect a lot of basically, how do I put this? A lot of nothing. A lot of nothing happens at first. Once you list who's injured, who's not, the really important players don't even play early in the preseason. It's not like it used to be where all the players would play every preseason game, or at least half of it. It's very slow at the beginning, and it builds up as you go on. But even position battles, which is one thing fans like, position battles. There's not many of those anymore because people have emphasized the draft so much that they're count on draft picks to fill positions, either starting or backup positions. So there's not even position battles. So there's not a whole lot going on even when they report to camp. It's basically who didn't report to camp is what is going on.
Yeah, right at the moment it's Trey Hendrickson, it's Terry McLaurin, which again you talk about in your Redskins review over on your channel. It's those kind of things. Now I did see, and I want to give him his props. He was with the Arizona Cardinals, so I got to see him up close for a few years there. He, of course, from LSU. Tyrann Mathieu announced his retirement today. Really, really surprising the New Orleans Saints. I guess this came out of nowhere, and no one really knew that this was going to happen. So he decided to walk away from football. And then I don't know if you saw it as well. I believe there was a tight end that also did the same thing today. Cheese, can you help me? Do you know who that was? Or
no, I know Mike Williams did the other day, the wide receiver of the Chargers.
Okay, maybe that's who I was thinking about.
If there was a tight end today that retired, I did not see that, but I can check real quick.
All right,
you can go to Ian Rappaport's Twitter.
Yeah, let's just throw a good plug out there for Ian, right?
Well, he's very active on X. That's, of all the insiders, he's the most active on X. So that's very helpful for someone like in our, doing videos.
Sure. I got, like I
don't
said, I got a
see
few of those.
anything.
Don't see anything. Okay.
But Mike Williams retired for the Chargers, he played for the Steelers and Jets last year. He's a longtime Charger, first-round pick, and he was good. He just could not stay healthy. But why that's important is they were probably counting on him to play a lot of snaps, and now they're counting on Trey Harris, the rookie second-round pick at Ole Miss, is now their de facto number 3 receiver. So now you have a rookie that they're counting on. They don't have much else in that receiver room. They have Ladd McConkey, absolute rookie stud. Quentin Johnston was a first-round pick 2 years ago. Was better last year, but still, not great. So, they are now counting on Trey Harris to play significant snaps. So losing Williams is, obviously will alter their plans.
All right. So I tell you what I like as a fan as far as training camp goes, and I'm going to try to get to Cardinals training camp at least once this season. It's like spring training for me. I'm an autograph seeker. I go after a lot of that stuff. And a lot of times during these training camps and things, I think this is really because they're not going to sign autographs for you at a regular football game, unlike a lot of other sports. So you have to go to some of these open training facility spots and things like that with your football and your Sharpie and everything else to try to get some autographs. So I'm going to try to do that at least once or twice at the Arizona Cardinals training camp here. It's here in Glendale. It's actually played at the stadium. So that's nice and everything else. So that's kind of what I look forward to as a fan. What about players, Cheese? What do players expect as training camp opens?
Players just don't want to get hurt. They just don't want to get hurt. They don't want to practice. They don't want, obviously, 2-a-days are gone. They don't want to get hurt. And, okay, there's different types of players. Obviously, the players that are guaranteed to make the roster, they just don't want to get hurt. And the other players want to make the team. They want to make an impression. So there's really 2 types of players, the ones that are going to make the team and the ones that might not. So, as far as if you're asking what players and fans go, well, if I'm a player, I do want to sign autographs. I want kids and people to remember who I was. I signed that, and then you become a good player. They're going to remember that. They're going to buy your jersey. It would only help you. Obviously it could be unselfish if you sign autographs, but it could also help you too. So, yeah.
Yeah, again, I think it depends on what kind of player you are, right? If you've already made the roster, if you've already, if you've surpassed your 4-year rookie deal like it's structured right now in the collective bargaining agreement, and you're on like your second or your third contract, then maybe you don't, I'm not even touching those fans, and I don't want those fans to touch me, and let's put a few rookies out here in front of us, and you guys go over there and sign everything for these players, and we're going to go on back to the locker room and change and get ready and go out to dinner. But yeah, it depends on what kind of player you are.
Sure.
But as a fan, I will tell you this, same way with baseball, pretty much the same way with every sport. If one of the elder statesmen, we'll call them, of the team stops, and even if he just signs, I've seen plenty of baseball players who will walk up to a crowd and they'll say, okay, I'll sign 20. And a lot of times some of us, fat old guys will push the kids up to the front and try to get the kids to be able to, to get their stuff signed. Because, if he's stopping the sign stuff, at least he's stopping the sign stuff, and let's get the kids their things, because, it's going to make a lot bigger difference to the kid. But, the only thing I can't stand is afterwards, so Kyler Murray signs the football for him, and then I see him and his buddy throwing that same signed football back and forth in the grass, and it falls in the mud and everything else, and you're just like, man, yeah. I would have made sure my football didn't fall in the mud. So yeah, but you try to give the kids the shot as far as doing that. So yeah, I agree with that. That's what the players expect. We got 2 more spots here within the football. We'll call it the football family for the moment. We talked about fans. We talked about players. Let's talk about coaches. What should coaches expect as NFL training camps start?
Coaches are just hoping their players show up in shape. That's the main thing. They, especially linemen on offense, defensive linemen, sometimes they show up out of shape. We know Deebo Samuel in minicamp showed up way overweight. We'll see if he lost that. He had a month. But you just want players to show up in shape, healthy, and also healthy. You want them to pass their physical, and you don't want holdouts. Like you just don't want any drama. You want everything to be great, drama-free.
Okay. And that's what the coaches expect. We got one more piece to this puzzle. We're kind of putting the corner pieces into this particular NFL puzzle as the training camp start. So we've looked at fans, we've looked at players, we looked at coaches. Now this one should be kind of interesting, and I'm really curious to hear your opinion on this particular one. That's why I wanted to end the this part of the segment with it. What do front office people expect now that NFL training camps are opening up?
They're just happy that no one got arrested. None of the rookies you just drafted are in jail or get charged with anything. No, I mean, front office, this is their break. From when the draft ends till about now is the only slow time of their season. Obviously, they're watching college film in the summer of the draft eligible players for next year. But at the same time, that's all you're doing. So this is your break. You're just relaxed and you're just happy football's starting. And then college football starts again, and then you just work 16-hour days until the draft ends. That's what you do as a front office. You work 16 to 18 hours a day watching college film, going through everything until the draft. So, yeah, they're just relaxed and just happy football's back.
Well, I mean, just because that's what you do for your football channel, at Football with Cheese, doesn't mean that's what all the executives do. But what about the people? What about the players like Von Miller? We talked about players and we talk about front office. So are the front office people still making phone calls to agents and things like that, looking at the Von Millers and players like that of the world that really don't want to go through training camp, but you can probably get them next week or the week after to a smaller contract?
Some are. I'd say most teams the roster's pretty set.
Mm-hmm.
Washington obviously needed edge rush help. So the Von Miller signing makes sense. They'll pay Von Miller, but they won't pay Terry McLaurin. They pay Demo Samuel, trade Laramie Tunsil, whatever. Doesn't make any sense to me. But so some teams still have a weakness, so they're still talking to the agents. But I think most teams, the roster is set, and only if there's an injury will they reach out and try to sign a free agent. Jadeveon Clowney's probably the one big name out there that has not signed. That my guess.
He signed today, actually.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he signed today with the Raiders to reunite him with Pete Carroll today.
I did not see that. Ian Rappaport, did he not tweet that?
Oh my goodness. We gotta say awful things about Ian now. I saw that earlier actually, where he did sign with the Raiders. Like I said, reuniting him with Pete Carroll.
Okay. But okay, he was there it is. No, wait, Jamal Adams signed with the Raiders. That's not okay.
Oh, is it? Okay, I'm sorry. Who did you say?
I said Jadeveon Clowney. No, it was Jamal Adams, the safety.
Okay.
No, so Jadeveon Clowney, he was the first overall pick out of South Carolina like a decade ago. He was released by Carolina. My opinion, he's pulling a Michael Strahan, which means this is toward the end of his career. He doesn't want to go through training camp.
Right. We talked about this last week with the Von Miller situation. Right. Sure.
Week 3 of the preseason, all of a sudden he'll sign somewhere. That's my thinking. Like you just said, he doesn't want to go through training camp. Yeah.
All right. So in just a second, sir, I'm going to give you the opportunity to defend your cheese chatter from something that you said off of your podcast. And before we do that, I want to take a quick look at what we're going to do in our baseball MLB 4-pitch talk. We're going to take a quick look at the Baseball Hall of Fame. We're going to look at the Yankees and their sign-stealing expeditions. We're going to look at the Indians when they change their name. We're going to ask, should baseball players get time off? And what should they get time off for? We're going to look at a few examples of that. And then we are going to focus on the National League Central before we look at our Truth Top 10. But before we do all of those things, sir, I'm going to give you a chance to defend your cheese chatter. And here's what I mean. You said in your YouTube post this week that the people who wanted the Redskins to change their names to the Commanders were not real football fans. Ooh, that's a little bit of a hot take from you. So I'm going to have you defend your cheese chatter when it comes to people who aren't true fans are the ones that wanted the Redskins to change their name to the Commanders. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. So what I meant by that was, so I'm not going to get political here, This isn't about Republican or Democrat. This is about a very small group of the population, probably 3 to 5%. A lot of people call them the woke mob. They're very woke. They're anti-First Amendment. They want you to believe everything they believe and try to restrict you from saying anything they don't like. The extreme far left anti-free speech people. Those are the people that are leading the charge to change these names. It's not Native American groups, despite what most people think. They are unhappy people that want to change behavior. They want to change what you can say. They hate stand-up comedy. You know, they're all about political correctness. That's what I meant. That group is the ones leading the charge to get these names changed. And none of them are Washington Redskins fans. They don't watch football. So that is what I meant by that. And, you know, the mainstream media picked up on it and they report stuff like that. Just like what happened in the All-Star game. It was taken away from the Braves years ago. It was a very small group of people that totally skewed a Georgia bill that they didn't even read. And Rob Manfred never read, but he's such a feckless, worthless. Don't get me started, Rob Manfred. But anyway,
you scared me, dude. This is a family show. You started off with that letter, and I was like, "Uh-oh, here we go."
No, but the point I'm trying to make is there's just a small group of people that are trying to ruin sports because they don't like it. And they're using racism or being offended to get you to change behavior. So that is what I meant by that.
Okay, so I got 4 follow-up questions for you here. Some of them are pretty simple. A couple of them we'll probably dive into a little bit more. What is wrong with making the team more appealing? In other words, if you change the name to a non-racist name, the people who are still diehard fans are not going to give up on the team, whether they're called the Commanders or the Redskins or the Pupa Canuos or whatever that thing was you said earlier. They're still those diehard people, right? They are still going to go after that team and buy the merchandise and go to the games and all of that. So now by changing the name to something that is not as maybe offensive as an Indian type name, you're just making your team more appealing. So what's wrong with making it more appealing, Cheese?
For years, it wasn't a racist name. Then all of a sudden, about 10 years ago, it became a racist name. Like no one complained about it. And all of a sudden, you know, the woke mob got a hold of it and decided it was a racist name. And I don't think that every fan of the Redskins is necessarily happy with the name. I actually had a friend send me a clip of Pat McAfee talking about it. He went to a Colts Commanders game and no one was wearing Commanders gear. None. They were all wearing Redskin gear with the Redskin logo with, Walter Wetzel, who is the logo based on of the Blackfeet tribe. Everyone was wearing that. No one was buying Commanders stuff. So I know some Washington fans, I don't know a lot of them, but, they don't want to be the Commanders. A lot of them don't. They like the Redskins. It's tradition to them. And they don't think about racist. Like I grew up, watching the Redskins. I remember the Super Bowl when they beat the Bills when I was a little kid. I never thought for a second it was a racist name. I never thought. It's just the Redskins. Hail to the Redskins is the chant. So if it offends people, it's a very small amount. And I want to bring up a Washington Post poll in 2016, so 9 years ago. Okay. They reached out, and Washington Post is pretty liberal. Maybe not the most liberal, but it's pretty liberal. They called 504 Native Americans and asked them if they were offended by the Redskin name. Over 90% were not. Over 90%. So this is not the Native American community leading this charge. In fact, the grandnephew of Walter Wetzel, who the logo is based off of, he was not happy that they took the logo off the helmet. You're basically taking a picture of a Native American off a logo. It's the same thing as like Uncle Ben or Aunt Jemima. You took them off the logo. You took a black person off the logo. That's, to me, more racist in my opinion. And, I just don't think – I think tradition, and I just don't think this was a problem until all of a sudden it was. So I don't necessarily think you should threaten to hold a stadium up over it like Trump is doing. Like there's more important issues. Give me a break. There's way more important issues going on. That's stupid, but but I understand what he's saying. I think the Cleveland should be the Indians, and I love the Chief Wahoo. Grew up seeing that logo, and I think the Washington should be the Redskins and go back to the logo.
Yeah, we'll talk about Chief Wahoo here in a moment with the Indians, and in fact, I'm going to kind of combine those two with this next question here for you. And I want to keep you at bay for a little bit too, because they should go over to your channel and listen to this thing. You're giving everybody everything on your Washington Commander deal there. Just hold back a little bit, buddy, and let them go over to your channel and listen to it.
I go into more depth. But I did have one guy message me, and I had one guy message me on X. He said, "I like the name Commanders," and I said, "You're the only one that's ever told me that," and he never messaged me.
There's got to be one, right? There's always one, right?
It's just, you know what it reminds me real quick? I just want to mention Commander sounds like a stupid high school or middle school mascot name. It just doesn't fit. Guardians is even better. It just doesn't sound like a professional team to me.
Yeah, so I agree. Well, we'll look at both of those here a little more intently here in just a second. So I want to put the Indians and the Commanders and the Redskins kind of all together in this pot here, a stew, and stir it around a little bit and ask you this. Being called the Indians is one thing, but being called the Redskins is almost like you're insulting Indians, right? I mean, you're not even calling them Indians, you're calling them Redskins. Isn't that kind of insulting to Indians to call them the Redskins?
Possibly, but like I said, most Native Americans, or American Indians, whatever you call them, don't seem to be offended by it, according to that poll. And it's an historic NFL franchise, and that's what the fans know them as. That's what they want. So we live in too much of a politically correct society.
Well, I'll certainly agree with that.
I just don't think there's worse names you could have used, in my opinion, but I get what you're saying. It's different than Indian, sure, the name, but I never thought about it. Did you? I mean, growing up, you knew the Redskins. Like, I never thought about it until someone brought it up, until it became an issue. Not once did I think that name is offensive or that name is racist. And it just all of a sudden became. So
I'm with you. I didn't really ever think it was offensive or racist or anything. In fact, the big memory that I have is John Riggins with the Redskins, just pounding that great big huge man, just pounding his way through an offensive line, and going just pounding his way into the end zone. And it's like, okay, he's got the ball. He's getting in the end zone. There ain't nobody stopping him. So that was one of my time.
I remember Dale Green.
My memories of the Redskins.
I remember Dale Green.
Thanks for calling me old. I appreciate it. So
how was Sammy Paul? Was he pretty good?
when you're looking at a name for a team, Cheese, should it be like synonymous with the city or the state or the heritage? What should a name of a sport team be? Should it mean something, or does it matter if it does or it doesn't?
I think it should just fit. Like, some names are great because they do fit the city, or some names is just like a cool mascot. But like Pittsburgh Steelers, such a good name. Houston Oilers was such a great name. I wish Houston could have kept that name when Tennessee left, because Houston Oilers, that's such a cool name. So those names are cool. Oh, I'll give you a great example. I just thought of this. Why is it the Utah Jazz? New Orleans should have been able to keep that name. Utah and Jazz? That doesn't make any sense. That's NBA reference, but I think it's cool. Go ahead.
But you like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, why not just call them the Pittsburgh Thieves? I mean, that's really the Steelers, and that's the one you want to pick?
Wow, Michael. Did you go there?
Well, that's because I'm a Bengals fan, so maybe that's why my bias is showing here.
I think steel is spelled a little differently than you think, but that's okay.
Oh,
but
okay.
No, I got it. I think sometimes it's good if it pertains to the city, like New Orleans Jazz, Pittsburgh Steelers, Houston Oilers. But sometimes it's just like, Detroit Lions, Detroit Tigers, something ferocious. And, I think some names are just weak. And that's
right.
just, you don't want a weak name.
So then, if not the Redskins, let's say you can't name them the Redskins anymore, and you don't like the Commanders, then what would Cheese name the Washington football team? And by the way, before you answer, I'll give you a minute to think about it, because I just love it when South County Splat comments, because I just love saying the name there as you tell us how much you like yourself. He says, I didn't know the Redskins were a bad team until the TV told me in 2020, which, yes, I completely understand. So if not the Redskins and if not the Commanders, Cheese, then what are you going to name the Washington football team?
So someone asked me this when they were changing the name. They were the Washington football team, which was even stupider than any of those. But
like it was a soccer team or something.
Well, exactly. And why not? It's kind of a silly name, but it fits so perfectly with their fans.
Mm-hmm.
The Hogs. Their fans have a group of them call themselves the Hogs. They dress up in pig noses. They dress up as hogs. If people didn't know that. And at least the fans would be happy because, we're the Hogs. So why not? Or even the Red Hogs, although I guess Hogs not red, or something like that. I think that would be cool.
Well, I mean,
what do you think?
Javelinas don't have razors on their backs either, but by golly, they call them the Razorbacks. So,
very good.
The best name that I always thought was great for Washington were the Senators. So when they were looking at changing the name, I was always in favor of the Washington Senators and go back to that baseball heritage, even though it would be a football team. That kind of fits with the political climate and things up there. So I kind of like the Senators as far as that part goes.
Yeah, but most people don't like their senator. So, these days.
Well, I guess it depends on if they voted for him or not, I guess. So, all right, buddy. So I'll tell you what, let's jump into, and we usually do 4 pitch talk. We're still going to call it 4 pitch talk, but we're going to do 5 topics. All right, we're going to look at the Baseball Hall of Fame. We're going to look at the National League Central. We're going to look at the Yankees, the Indians, and then we're going to ask the final question of this segment before we go into the Truth Top 10, which is going to be the current standard uniforms that we each think are the best in the league. Now, we're not going to do any of the crazy uniforms or anything like that, because as we talk kind of off air with each other, shoot, that would be a heck of a list. That would be a much different list than the list that we're going to try to produce today. But before we do that, we'll ask, should people get time off? And I'll tell you why I got this topic, where it all originated from, and then give you some examples that I'll have Cheese answer for me if athletes should get the time off. All right, Baseball Hall of Fame. Let's do that real quick. So elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame this year, Ichiro Suzuki, who came 1 vote shy of being unanimous. Whoever that guy was needs to be shot. Yes. And his voting rights need to be revoked. Then
shot in the kneecaps and let him bleed out.
There you go.
Family show.
Oh, and I thought I was violent. We also have CC Sabathia, who was also his first year of eligibility, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then we have a guy who was inducted in his 10th and final year into the Hall of Fame, which was Billy Wagner.
Absolute ridiculous. He had to wait that long. That still makes me mad.
All right. So let's talk about those 3 guys real quick. And then I'm going to look up who it's not called the Veterans Committee anymore. I'm trying to remember what the name of the committee is that gets the other people into the Hall of Fame ballot as well. But I'll figure it out while you talk to me about Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner. But you know what? I say talk to me like you and I are the only 2 people listening. There's quite a few people listening to us live right now. So why don't you do me a favor and talk to them? What about Ichiro, and what about Billy Wagner and CC Sabathia, buddy?
Ichiro is fascinating because he came over from Japan and had 3,000 hits. And I think he had didn't he have like 1,000 Japan before he left? I mean, he's just he's an insane player. The guy could just flip his bat and hit it to all fields. He was just unbelievable contact hitter, and he had great arm in the outfield. Ichiro, I mean, he's got a first name. Like everyone just brings up his first name. He's that special. I just love watching him play.
Right. So I've found what I want to find here. So it's no longer called the Veterans Committee. It's called the Baseball Era Committee, and they have elected 2 more people. One of them just recently passed away. It really tore me up that he passed away. I was listening to Brian Kenny the other day. We'll give MLB Now a big shout out. I love that show. And he was talking about, he was talking to, Paul Molitor, and Paul Molitor said, well, at least he knew he was getting into the Baseball Hall of Fame before he passed away. So they kind of counted that as a win. Of course, Parkinson's disease took the life of Dave Parker. He is being voted in by the era committees this year. His family will all be there, as well as Dick Allen. So you've got Ichiro, you've got CC Sabathia, you got Billy Wagner, you got Dick Allen, and Dave Parker. Anything you want to say about Dick Allen and Dave Parker? I know neither of these first 2 things were on our show notes, so I'm kind of hitting you with this a little off the cuff. But anything you want to say about Parker or Allen?
Yeah, I don't know too much about him, because my age. But Dave Parker, I know some older people have told me that he should have been in long ago. That's that's basically what they say. I know he played for the A's, I believe, but I don't know too much about him, but at least he knew he was getting in before he passed, so that's good.
Yeah, he played for the A's in the kind of the final couple of years of his career. He played for the Cincinnati Reds, and he's probably most famous for playing for the We Are Family edition of the Pittsburgh Pirates. When you got a nickname of the Cobra, that should just get you in the Hall of Fame all on its own. So that was his baseball nickname. You can look up Dave Parker. I'm going to try to do some things on him probably later on in the week when I do Thinking Outside the Batter's Box. Hopefully I can put a few things up this week with doing my other podcast and everything else that's going on, but I'm going to try my best to do that. So, Cheese, I've got a few questions.
Real quick on CC Sabathia.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to say this about him. He was the pitcher that would go 8 innings when that trend was dying. Like pitchers used to go 8-9 innings, and then teams were being so concerned about pitchers' elbows or shoulders, so they would only go 7. They started only going 7 innings. Now a lot of them only go 6. But CC was the one guy still going 8-9. That's what I remember most about him. Late in his career, he was still doing that. So absolutely, he should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I remember when he got traded over from the Indians to the Brewers, and that man, I thought his arm was going to fall off. He pitched so much for them and tried his darndest to get them into the playoffs and everything.
Still lost. The Brewers still lost. They always do in the playoffs.
Yeah. We'll talk about the Brewers here in a moment when we go National League Central. So let me give you a couple yes or no questions, and we'll jump through those questions in here pretty quickly as far as the Baseball Hall of Fame goes. And then we got a nice thinking question for our third and final one here for the Baseball Hall of Fame talk. First is, Cheese, will you watch the induction on Sunday?
Probably not. I typically watch the speeches after because, they're all over YouTube. So I typically watch, unless it's someone I have to see, I probably won't. The last time I watched, they spent so much time talking about, they introduced all the Hall of Famers that were there, and they talk about all this thing, and it just took forever. And it's like we just want to see the speeches. So I usually just watch the speech after. What about you? Do you watch the whole coverage?
I will watch at least part of it, depending on what I'm doing on Sunday. I mean, that's a few days away yet, so my plans could change by that point. But I really like the Hall of Fame induction. We'll talk about it a little bit more here in a moment. But I guarantee you that I'll watch the edited versions of the speeches, and I will probably, none of these guys.
I'm going to watch Billy Wagner's for sure. I really like Billy Wagner.
Yeah, Sabathia kind of intrigues me a little bit because of some of the sobriety problems and things that he had. I'm wondering if he'll, put that and etch that into his speech somehow or whatever, and who he's going to thank as far as that goes. I have a feeling that there's going to be someone he's going to thank during his speech that most of us didn't even know had anything to do with CC Sabathia and some of the problems that he had on and off the field. So I'll be interested to see that part of his speech. Secondly, here is Cooperstown on your bucket list, Cheese?
It is, definitely. I have some friends in New York, so I need to go see them. But yeah, I definitely need to go to Cooperstown.
Yeah, you should do it on the Hall of Fame induction weekend, by the way. I've been there twice during the Hall of Fame induction weekend. It's cool. It really, really is. And in fact, maybe we'll do the show from there one of these days, when we get really, really popular and
we should.
Yes.
And we should have Billy Wagner on. Billy Wagner, real quick. I just want to talk about him.
You always say real quick, and then it's never real quick. But go ahead.
It's going to be quick. It's going to be less than 30 minutes. No. He played a lot for the Astros. That's what most people know him for. But he played for the Phillies and Mets too. But then his last year, he played for Atlanta. And I remember that as a Braves fan. And he was so good that year. And they needed a closer so bad. So I'll always remember that even though he played for the Phillies and Mets, he came to Atlanta his last year and he dominated. And he could have probably kept playing, but he decided to retire. So I'll always remember that.
Right, and I agree with you. He probably could have kept playing, but if I remember correctly, he wanted to kind of leave the game behind and be a family guy because he was his kids were getting older, and he wanted to go spend some time with them, which I certainly appreciate him doing. Here's the final question as far as the Baseball Hall of Fame, and I'll be interested to hear your response here. And even though I have talked with this person twice since I've been alive, it's only been for 5 to 7 minute snippets of time. So here's the question. I'm still going to pick that same person. What Hall of Famer, either living or deceased, would you most want to have a meal with?
So I'm going to pick a living person.
Okay.
There are a lot of deceased people that you could pick. I mean,
yes,
I don't even need to listen, but like Yogi Berra, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, have a beer with them, or
I don't need to listen, but I'm going to. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Ty Cobb would be fun. But I thought about this question for a while. I want to have a meal with Chipper Jones. So Chipper Jones is just one of the funniest people. Well, the funniest interviews. A couple times a year, he joins the Braves broadcast, and he is just so funny, and he is such a good storyteller. That's what I want. I want someone who tells the best stories, and he's so good at it, and he's got this dry sense of humor. So I'd love to hang out with Chipper Jones.
Okay, it's not a bad choice as far as that part goes. I don't know if you noticed, but while they were in Atlanta, he was coaching one of the Future Games teams, and he did an interview with them. It's
Yes.
If you get a chance to watch that, then that's highly recommended. Marquise Grissom was coaching the other team,
right?
And I believe
Marquis' son, yeah,
right. And we mentioned it last week that Grissom's son was on Chipper Jones's team, so that was kind of a little unique twist that they had there with it. So that's a quick look at the Baseball Hall of Fame. A couple things that I wanted to get to and just talk about real quick, giving all of those guys their due for being elected. While we're doing this real fast here, we're going to jump into the National League Central Division here in a moment. Let's look at a couple of those teams.
Who would you pick to have?
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I did not tell you.
We need to know. Everyone wants to know.
I went right past it, right? I was trying to get to other stuff here. That's where we need a producer, because I'm doing all this production stuff, and I forgot about giving my opinion.
Yes.
I've talked to him, like I said, I've talked to him twice. I saw him the first time at the Baseball Hall of Fame. As I tell you a little bit of this story, you'll probably be able to figure out who it is before I ever get to telling you his name. He was actually there with two women. Each of them had pagers. That's how long this has been. They each had pagers, and the first woman would show him the pager, and he'd go, yeah, put this much on this team. And another one would show him the pager that had the things that would scroll across it, and he was betting right there, right in front of everybody. He wasn't trying to hide it whatsoever. And then I saw him another time at the Baseball Hall of Fame as well. He always autographed stuff, but I have one of these things to where, man, I don't like paying a ton of money for an autograph, so I never paid Pete for an autograph. So it would be Pete Rose, man. Best Cincinnati Reds player ever. I really thought he was mistreated, and I would love to sit down. The main reason why I want to sit down and ask him, because there's a question that no one ever got to ask him, as far as I know, that I would love to know the answer to, and that was, who told him to lie? Was that his decision? Was that his agent's decision? Was that, someone in his family? Was that who told you that it was okay to lie? I would love to know the answer to that question, and that's why I would love to talk to Pete Rose. So we got some finals in Major League Baseball with the Central Division. Right the moment, Milwaukee beats Seattle.
Again?
No, I'm sorry. That was yesterday. Milwaukee and Seattle are 0-0 right now, top of the fifth. St. Louis is in Colorado, and they're losing to the Colorado Rockies 7-3.
What is
Houston
going on
and
with
Arizona
the Cardinals?
are scoreless in the fourth. I'm sorry, sir.
I'm saying, what is going on with the Cardinals? You can't.
Yeah. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. So, is there nothing? Houston, Arizona into the fourth inning is 0-0. And the other game that's going on right now, Minnesota is leading the Dodgers, who are all of a sudden in a free fall. They are leading them 3-0 at the end of the second. The National League Central, Chiefs. You asked me, hey, can we talk about the Central? I'm sure it's because it's got the Cubs in it, which is your team. It's got the Reds in it that are one of my teams. Of course, the Diamondbacks are my other team. That's why I'm doing the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. Yes. As you can see, the
check that out, everyone. Locked On Diamondbacks. Check it out.
Right above my head up there. So let's look at this. Let's rank the teams in that division. So it would be the Brewers, the Cubs, the Reds, the Cardinals, and the Pirates. Tell me who's number 5 in that division, even though, everybody should already know.
This is so easy. Pittsburgh Pirates. They're obviously a team that doesn't spend a lot of money, but they have so much trouble developing bats. They just don't do it. Mm-hmm. They develop pitching fine.
Yes.
For whatever reason, they don't develop bats. They're 13-37 on the road. That is horrific. And most people know this, but in 2015, 10 years ago, they won 98 games, lost first round, but they've had some good teams over the years. But the last decade since that 98 win team, they just do not develop bats. Ke'Bryan Hayes is a great example at third base. Very good defender. His bat has not developed. A lot of their bats haven't. And if you have to, if you're a team like Pittsburgh doesn't spend money, you have to develop, not just pitching, you have to develop bats. And they just haven't. And that's why they're last every year.
Yeah, I'm with you. Pittsburgh's going to be at the bottom of the list, but I tried to look at a positive and a negative stat that I could give you for each team. And believe it or not, I can find a positive stat for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it doesn't involve Paul Skeens, although you can go to @the643&out-pod, and I have a thing up. I have a post up that says, and it's true, I took a look at it myself, and I was like, wow, they're right. If Paul Skeens would just get the average run support, whenever he's last year and this year, whatever the average run support was for that season, if he would get that, he would have only lost 2 games so far in his Major League Baseball career, which is crazy.
He's lost 8 this year. He's lost 8 games this year alone.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. But I will give Pittsburgh credit. They are 4 games over 500 at home. They're 28-24 in Pittsburgh. Of course, that just means that they have a terrible road record, which they do. It's 13-37. So
yes,
yeah, the ebb and flow there of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So who are you going to put as the next team above them? The Reds, the Cardinals, the Cubs, or the Brewers, sir?
Fourth is it's tough, but I'm going to put the Cardinals fourth. The Cardinals are one of those teams. They're stuck. They're good enough to hang around, but they really either need to be really good or really bad. And what I mean by that, being 500 every year is the worst thing can happen to you because you don't pick high in the draft.
Yep.
And you don't make the playoffs and get the extra revenue. And the Cardinals are kind of stuck. They've been like that for the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And I know some Cardinals fans, we call them the fun friends family, husband, wife, they have an adult daughter, and they're big Cardinals fans, and I talk to them. My friend Connor, I haven't talked to in a while. He's a huge Cardinal fan, and they want a rebuild, or at least a retool, or they want them to be bad enough where Oli Marmol is fired. They do not like him as a manager. They think he needs to go. They think the manager is a huge problem. So I really would love the Cardinals to sell and actually recognize our farm system is as good as it used to be.
We'll get to that. Calm down.
Okay. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why I give you show notes, Cheese. Come on now.
Oops.
All right, buddy. That's fine. That's
Spoiler
fine.
alert.
Right. Spoiler alert. He wants the Cardinals to sell.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see what I think. But, he wants the Cardinals to sell. So, who's going to be number 4? And I'm going to agree with you. And that's because they're basically in a free fall right now. The Cardinals started out really good, and they're just in a free fall. I just watched them lose or get swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks in Arizona. I also just watched them. They won yesterday, but they're getting beat today, so they're going to lose 4 of their last 5. Their record in their last 10 games, they are 4-6. Them and the Pirates have losing records in their last 10. So even though the Reds have lost 3, they're still 6-4 overall. So the Cardinals are going to be at that point for me. They are currently 52-49. They're probably going to be 52-50, which will put them in a tie with the Cincinnati Reds as far as record-wise goes. So Cardinals will be 4, and then I'll just go ahead and say it. The Reds will be number 3 for me. But I think this will be interesting to find out who we're going to pick as 1 and 2 because there's been a little interesting development over the last week or so by one of these teams. So let's see where we go. I assume you're going to put the Reds at number 3. You want to talk about the Cincinnati Reds from your perspective for a moment, sir?
Yeah, I have the Reds 3. Their run differential is going into tonight is 29 runs better than the Cardinals. That was kind of the big difference. But, Elliot Cruz is an outstanding player. Abbott is terrific. I mean, the Reds have pieces. They haven't quite put it together. There were some people picking the Reds to win the division before the season started. So I think there's talent there. They obviously have not played well since the break, but they're one of those teams that I could see being a wild card. I could also see them ending up under 500. They just haven't quite put everything together. I don't want to make of them.
Well, I've been saying this all year. And again, I'm going to be on the Red Hot Reds podcast tomorrow. You can see me talk about the Reds and the Diamondbacks and just baseball in general with Roger Strauss and Ricky Logan. Ricky, of course, is part of www.weLikeSportsPC.com, just like I am as well. So I say the Reds play up to their competition and they play down to their competition. Like they went to New York the first 3 games out of the break and they swept the Mets. Or I'm sorry, they won 2 out of 3 from the Mets, right? So they win that series. And then now all of a sudden, they're playing at the Washington Nationals, who are not anywhere near what the Mets are, and they've lost the first 2 games of that series.
Yeah.
So they allowed 10 runs yesterday. So just they play up to their. It seems like if they play a good team, then they play well, and if they play a team that's not very good, then they don't play very good. So you would until Terry Francona can get the team to always play up, they're going to be in this yo-yo thing back and forth. And will they be a wild card? Will they not be a wild card? Are they going to buy? Are they going to sell? I'm not going to give mine away like you did, but are they going to or are they not going to, and all of that. So yeah, that's the Reds. I believe they're at number 3. I am going to still put the Milwaukee Brewers at number 2. I'm sure you're going to too, because you're a Cubs fan, and we'll see how that works here in just a moment. But the Brewers are on a real big hot streak. They have won 11 in a row. They're a plus 91 run differential, and they are the only team on this list who their expected win-loss total matches their actual win-loss total. So they are expected to be 60-40, and they are 60-40. Here's a great stat for you, and then I'll turn it over to you, and you can tell me who is going to be your number 2 team. I had all that planned out, and then I went through, and now I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh no, I do remember. They are the first National League team to 60 wins. Who thunk that at the beginning of the year? So yes, they were They were first. The Cubs are now at number 60 as well, but the Brewers won a few hours before the Cubs did. So they technically got the 60 wins first. Cheese, who are you going to put at number 2? And then default-wise, we're going to know who's number 1 for you.
Well, real quick, in the middle of May, the Cubs were 6 games ahead, of the Brewers. And now the Brewers are half game ahead after the results earlier. But what's crazy about that is the Cubs' record isn't bad since mid-May. They're 11 games over 500 in mid-May. It's just that the Brewers have been unbelievable. I think they're 29-12 in their last 41. So it's not like the Cubs have been bad. It's just the Brewers have just unbelievable streak. But I'm going to put the Brewers second. They are hot right now. I get it. But I'm going to put them second because I just think the Cubs, they're going to – well, that would go into our next thing. Yeah, I just think the Cubs have a better overall.
I'll just hit the button and you won't be on the screen anymore.
I'll just say this. We'll talk about the Cubs in a second. How about that? Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Hit the button.
So that's what you get when you do the production and everything else, right? Sometimes you mess everything up, but I can control whether you're there or not, sir.
Am I going to eject out of the seat? I'm going to just
yes. It's going to be like Top Gun or something. You're just going to fly out of the jet, and you're going to have a parachute on you, but you're not going to end well like Tom Cruise would in every one of those movies. No matter what happened, he'd never die. So first of all, let me hit everybody with this, and let me say a big thank you right now. We are the highest trending live podcast on X right now of all of the 7,200 people or so that we follow. Thank you for that. We are pounding everybody else into the ground, but I won't mention anybody else. I'll just say that we're number 1. Pat myself on the back for a second and move on. Since June 14th, though, and this goes to your point, the Chicago Cubs are 17-13. Not a bad record. But the Milwaukee Brewers are tops since June 14th. You can get all of these stats for all of the teams on at the 643 and out pod. Codify is where I put that up there. I retweeted that for everybody. The Milwaukee Brewers are number 1. They are 22-7 since June the 14th. They have just been on an unbelievable hot streak and have overtaken the Chicago Cubs for first place in that division. They are a half a game ahead of them currently. So Brewers second, Cubs number 1. But the Cubs do have a bigger run differential, and they are plus 121. So their offense is cooking. It's a lot like the Arizona Diamondback offense. Their offense is cooking as well. In fact, I believe those two teams are in 1 and 2 in most offensive categories in the National League. But both of them are about the same. Their pitching is not near what their offense is. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Diamondbacks go out and get some pitching and if the Cubs go out and get some pitching. So it will be interesting. You think the Cubs will?
Oh, they're definitely going to go get some pitching. Cubs have pretty good farm systems. They have some pieces they can trade. So
they do.
They're going to get pitching. And, yeah, the pitching hasn't been great for the Cubs, but Matthew Boyd has been unbelievable for the Cubs. He was their only pitching all-star, and he pitched today. He went 7 shutout innings, 4 hits. His ERA is 2.20 for the season. I think it's like top 5 in baseball, but no one really talks about it. Even though he made an all-star game, he didn't pitch in it. He's been terrific for them. Can you imagine if they didn't have him?
Right. Thank you, JC. We appreciate you reposting the stream onto your account, just like some other people have as well. We thank all of you for that, for helping us out and reposting it onto your stream on your X platforms. So we know what the rankings are. Who should buy and who should sell? Let's take it from our rankings. Should the Pittsburgh Pirates at the bottom of the league, should they buy or sell?
Obviously, they should sell.
Okay. So next is the St. Louis Cardinals. Should they buy or sell?
I already gave this one away, but
yes,
I think
you did.
Look, if you can't beat the Rockies, you should sell. But I really think the best thing for the Cardinals is to sell Arenado, Sonny Gray. I think Arenado might have a no trade clause, but sell their veterans. The big problem with selling that the Cardinals have is their fans expect to compete every year, and they don't want to sell. Like they don't want to not compete.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough to sell the fans. Attendance is down for the Cardinals because they haven't been as good the last couple of years. But for the future, the best thing for them is to realize they're not winning a World Series this year, and to just sell and go for it. 2027, 28, 29. You don't have to do a complete rebuild. You can do like a retooling and go for it in those years.
All right, and yes, I certainly agree with you on that front. They should sell, and the Cardinals have some pieces where they can start their rebuild with a lot of the pieces that they have. They have some starting pitching. They have some. Wow, what in the world? But not to Houston. Okay, and I don't know what all this next thing. I do not know. That could be something just awful and dirty, and I'm putting it up on the screen, but I have no idea what all that. I'm an old man, people. I don't.
I have no idea what that is either. By the way, Ryan Helsley, their closer, could also they could get a return for him. He's someone they should shop as well. And Eric Feedy, they just need to shop him because he's so bad, and just get him off the team.
They got some relievers that they could probably get a little bit for as well.
Sure.
So I don't think Arenado. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Arenado is going to stay with the team. And in fact, this is also correct, sir. Yes.
I'm sure they'd love someone to take Wilson Contreras' salary too, but I'm not sure someone would.
Again,
he can't catch anymore.
I am not sure what that means. No, I guess I'm just showing everybody how old.
He was trying to do an ampersand. It apparently didn't work.
Oh, okay.
It's a symbol.
Is it a symbol? Okay.
Yeah, the ampersand. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. He's telling me. So Redbird's 4, Rocky's 7. That equals sell. I get it. Whew. Okay, why didn't you just print that up there for the old people in the room? All right, print that thing on the man. I'll put you up here, okay? I love saying South County Splat, so I'll put you up here all the time, buddy. You could
8-4 Rockies. Rockies lead 8-4 in the 8th against the Cardinals.
Oh, wow, and we are leading right now, as we said. All the ex Twitter.
Got some news here
that are going on right there. There we go. That's the word I was looking for.
Mrs. Fun Friends, Cardinal fan, just messaged me. She says they tried to trade Arenado during the offseason, but they could not get a deal he would accept. And I think one team that could use a third baseman that would be a fit is the Cubs, but there's no way they're trading him to Chicago. There's no way.
No, there's not.
So
I've got a little bit of breaking news for you here. So the Saints, according to Ian Rappaport, have found their replacement for the Honey Badger. They are signing Colts free agent safety Julian Blackmon. So they're going to sign him to replace Tyrann Mathieu as their safety there for the team. Again, according to Ian Rappaport. So got a little bit of breaking stuff for you. We haven't had anything breaking too much over the past few days and a few episodes here. But I haven't had a chance. I'm doing all this other stuff, and I hate looking away from the screen all the time. I feel like I'm not focusing on our people, so I try not to do it. So which NL Central team would go furthest in the playoffs, Cheese?
Right now, looking at the rosters, the Milwaukee Brewers probably. They have, to me, they're built for the postseason better than any team in the Central right now. I know I am a Cubs fan, but I said this on the podcast maybe about a month ago. I don't know if you remember. The Cubs don't miss enough bats. They're pitching, even though the bullpen is a top 5 bullpen in ERA, they don't miss enough bats. They have only 2 starting pitchers that I would trust in postseason: Matthew Boyd and Shota Imanga. The Japanese pitcher Shota. So with Justin Steele out for the year, they need to. Yeah, can you say his last name? Shota.
Yes. Imanaga.
Imanaga. Okay.
Yes.
And if Justin Steele wasn't hurt, I would probably say the Cubs. But the Cubs rotation, besides those 2, just don't miss enough bats. And the bullpen, besides Daniel Palencia, who's a very good closer, I don't trust any other pitcher in that bullpen to come in and get big outs in the 7th or 8th inning. And the Brewers have the pitching that misses bats. Even though the lineup's better in Chicago, I think Milwaukee right now is better equipped to go further in postseason, but I think the Cubs are going to make those moves And that's why I think they're going to pass the Brewers and win the division, because they're going to be more aggressive at the deadline.
Here's an interesting stat for you. Let's look at who has the best pitching. I'll give you an interesting stat for a couple of these staffs and their pitchers here in just a minute. What do you think, Cheese? Who has the best pitching in the National League Central?
Oh, the Brewers, definitely. Definitely the Brewers. Good bullpen, good rotation, very good rotation. And, one of the best starting rotations in the league, and a very good bullpen.
All right. So for those of you who don't think that, and man, you said it earlier, I was smiling at myself. Here we go with the comments, and keep them coming. We didn't have them for a while. Now, JC is cranking everything up, and we got South County Splat over here doing some stuff, and I'm sure a couple of your buddies are going to be on here with us too. So
I love Jack Daniels.
Oh yeah. That's what's in your.
But he's right.
In your mug, right?
He's right. Absolutely. Ben Brown. Oh my gosh, it was so bad last night. Just he just can't locate. He's got great stuff, but he can't locate anything.
Right. So let me give you this stat. So runs allowed. I think that's one of the best stats, so we can find out what kind of pitching your team has. How many runs do they allow? So you're right. The Brewers are number one. They have 388 runs allowed for the season. The Pittsburgh Pirates are number two at 411 in this division. So again, you said it. They can develop pitching. They just can't develop hitting. You'd think you would trade for that. You'd go out and buy that or whatever. If you've got half the equation, can't you see where the other half of your equation needs to come from? And wouldn't you spend money on that part of it? But
they don't spend money. That's the thing. They don't go after free agent hitters. If they did, that's what it's. But they develop pitchers, and if they spent money, yeah, but they don't. And teams like the Twins, the Pirates, the Royals, they have to develop players to be successful. And I just cannot name, if Brian Reynolds is the only hitter you've developed worth of anything the last 7-8 years, that's just sad.
I mean, O'Neal Cruz was just in the hall. It was just in the
true young guy. That's true.
The home run derby, but still.
But still, as high a prospect he was, he still maybe should be better than he is.
He probably should.
As far as the talent, he's very talented.
Yep. So you got 388, the Brewers. As far as runs allowed, 411, the Pirates. I mean, it's not a huge disparity, but the Cubs are one more than that, 412. The Reds have allowed 435, and the Cardinals have allowed the highest at 451. So, that would kind of be my rankings as far as pitching goes. What about the hitting? Which team is the best hitting team in this group?
I mean, this is very easy. Chicago Cubs, their lineup's incredible. Third base is the only spot in their lineup that isn't at least above average or great. So, yeah, the Cubs are one of the best lineups in baseball.
Yeah, they're plus 121 runs as far as a run differential goes. So they have scored 121 more runs than they have given up. So yes, there is not a doubt there. And here's the last thing. Are the Brewers for real?
They are. They hit in the clutch. They have a good bullpen, a great starting rotation. It's not a perfect roster, and I understand they're really hot right now. It's not sustainable. They're not going to keep winning every game, but yeah, they're a very good team. But the Brewers have had teams like this where they look really good in the regular season. I think they've won the division 2 years in a row, but they get in the postseason and they lay a brick. They do it almost every time they get in. So we'll see what happens, but they're for real.
All right, at least for right now, they're for real, right?
Yep.
I mean, the Cardinals were for real at the beginning of the season too, and look where they are now. But so it's the Brewers have kind of taken the other stance. They weren't real great at the beginning of the year. They've all of a sudden gotten hot, and here they are, tops of the division by a half a game over the Cubs. Let's move on to the Yankees and Jazz Chisholm Jr. I don't know if you saw the
I did. I was watching the game. Yeah.
Were you watching the game where he was?
Yeah, Braves Yankees. Yeah, I was watching.
Yeah, it's true. I forgot about that. It was Braves Yankees. That's right. Yeah. Where Jazz was obviously stealing the signs and giving them away to the hitter. Now I'm not sure the hitter was paying any attention to him, but he was out there waving his arms around like a bird, so it was pretty obvious what he was doing. Then he came up to bat and he was chirping with some of the Braves players and coaches. And, I can't remember which guy. You can probably remember it a little better than I can. One of the coaches kind of pointed to his head. Now,
Eddie Perez,
I don't think who was it, sir? I'm sorry.
It was Eddie Perez.
That's right. He used to be a catcher for them, right? Eddie Perez?
Correct. He was a catcher in the 90s. Yeah.
So I don't think he was saying we're going to hit you in the head. I honestly, by watching the video 4 or 5 times, I really think he was saying you got to be smarter than that, right? Don't make it so obvious that we all know you're stealing the signs. Like, hey, don't be so dumb, right? That's honestly what I think he was doing. What do you think he was doing as far as Jazz Chisholm? Because everybody got all bent out of shape about it, saying that Perez is saying we're going to hit you in the head. I don't think that was the message he was trying to deliver.
No, he's not going to hit that. It was just like you said. You guess it, be smarter. It's obvious. This has been going on for years. A lot of players at second would maybe touch their knee, tap their helmet, adjust their helmet, just little things, that normal things. And he was making obvious. He was moving his hand. Yeah. He was making it obvious. And it's very arrogant. And I guess technically it's not. I guess that's not illegal. You're not using devices. But
it's not.
But no, I Eddie Perez is not telling him we're going to throw your head. He's not doing that. There's no way.
All right, so let's get to the questions here, because I think the first one's really gonna set us up for the other two. Is it stealing, or is it being smart? Is it stealing signs, or is it being smart about seeing the signs you're seeing?
I think everyone does it. I go back to. Do you remember when A-Rod was with the Yankees and there was a pop-up and he said, I got it. And so the third baseman ran away, but he was running the bases.
Yes.
A-Rod. And he got killed for it. Everyone was like, oh, that's it. And I thought it was like, that was pretty smart. I mean, because he was A-Rod, everyone freaked out. But I thought it was a smart play. So I think everyone does it. The solution is don't let your signs be stolen. Have a backup plan. Have a communication with your catcher. Rafael Montero, I believe, was the pitcher for the Braves. You need to be better than that. You cannot let your sign be stolen. And that ball went, I think it almost went out. I think it was a sac fly. It went to the warning track because he knew the pitch. So just teams need to be just smarter and have a system where the sign can't be stolen, because every team tries it.
And it wasn't that he was stealing the signs between the pitcher and the catcher. He had his glove. If you watch the video close enough, he had his glove sticking way out here. Right. And I'm trying to show it to you, the glove, and then he was put his hand inside the glove, and he could see the grip on the glove from second base. So once he could see,
pitchers need to hide that. And
just
watch Ryan Dempster. If you ever watch Ryan Dempster, former Cub and Ranger, he would move his glove around as he was going through his thing, so people couldn't see it. His glove would move. It's a real weird delivery. So he would do that. So pitchers need to adjust to that and not let their grip be shown as well. Good call with the grip. Yeah.
So where is the line between competitive advantage and cheating?
I guess that's up to MLB, but if you use devices, it's cheating, of course, apparently.
If you use trash cans and stuff like that, it's cheating?
Well, apparently. It's the thing is, everyone does it. That's such a tricky question. And I don't know. I don't like sign stealing. I wish there was a way you could stop it, but there really isn't, because most people are subtle about it. But knowing that everyone does it, you just have to come up with ways to prevent it.
Yeah, but that's like saying we're going to allow steroids in the game because we just assume everyone's doing it. You just can't assume everybody's doing it, right? No matter what it is. If
you're using cameras and listening devices and, in locker rooms or just cameras in center field trying to, that's one thing. The player out on the field who's running the bases, I think that's different.
Okay. So there's kind of where the line's drawn, right? That's what I was asking for from you.
So I finally answered the question. Okay.
Yeah. You actually answered the question, and you didn't give away another question while you were answering that one. I'm so proud of you.
I rarely answer your questions, so I'm getting better. Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
By the way, what do you think? I know we moved on to that topic, but what do you think the Reds should do at the deadline?
The Reds need to buy and sell. So I'm one of those guys because so they need to sell one guy in particular. That's Nick Martinez. They just signed him to the qualifying offer. That qualifying offer was like $22 million. So they're not going to get anything for him if he does not get traded because that's not the way it works in MLB. Once you sign them to the qualifying offer once and they become a free agent, they can't do it again. Therefore, you can't get any compensation for him. So they need to sell him, but they need to buy some younger talent, and they need to buy a couple of relievers and an outfielder maybe, but not Luis Robert Jr. for God's sake, unless you can get him for a bucket of balls and 3 bats or something.
Why would anyone trade for him? Why would no one should?
Somebody probably will, though. My word, somebody is going to trade for him, but the Cubs overplayed their. I'm sorry,
Great comment.
The White Sox overplayed their hand. If they would have sold on him a couple 3 years ago, they probably could have gotten a lot more for him. But they overplayed their hand. So, yes, Deacon the runner and no indication. I want to talk about these for a second. Deacon the runner, like making it look like there's a throw coming in, but there's not really a throw coming in. And the new one, that's kind of the new thing that everybody's doing, or a lot of teams are doing. And I'll tell you one that I know you watched it because you sent me the video clip, and I was mesmerized. I bet I watched it 10, 15 times back to back to back and was like, how did he do that? How did he? And then I really got into it and slowed it down and was watching the intricacies of it. What made that play work, and this is the throw that Ronald Acuna made from right field to third base on the fly. Can't remember who that was against. I think it was the Yankees, right?
It was against the Yankees, yes.
What made that play work was the whole no indication. That's why I wanted to talk about it. And I don't know if you noticed in the notes, I put Acuna throw in parentheses beside of it. So what made that play work was the third baseman, Riley.
Nacho Alvarez. Austin Riley's on the injured list. It was Nacho Alvarez.
Nacho Alvarez. Thank you for the correction. He didn't give any indication that ball was coming. Like he didn't squat down. He didn't put his glove up. He didn't do any of that kind of stuff. He basically stood there and stared at the runner, knowing that ball was coming. He waited to the very last second to grab it out of the air. So it made the runner kind of nonchalant in the third base. If the Yankees player would have ran hard and slid, we wouldn't even be talking about this play right now, because even though it was a great throw, they would have never got him out. But because he deked him like that, he was able to get him out. I thought that was a great play by the third baseman, probably something that went overlooked in most people's eyes. But that's the other part of this. Yeah, that's the other part of this game, right?
Great tag too. Yeah, Nacho Alvarez was part of the play. I'm so glad you brought that up. He just stood there and he made a great tag. But the Yankees runner still shouldn't have been deked by the third baseman. I guess he thought because the ball was hit so in the corner, in the right field corner. If you have not seen this, make sure you look this up. Anyone watching?
It's on our Twitter feed.
Yes. Assist. Yeah. Okay. If you have not seen this, it's the craziest assist I've ever seen. Now, he's got a cannon arm. He's got obviously a cannon arm, but his back was to the runner when he caught it. So the runner has there's no chance this guy's even going to throw. He's probably going to throw back to the second baseman. So he had no idea. So there's no reason to think that the third baseman would even deke him anyway. But he obviously turned his body and just threw it, and was perfect throw. And you see the Yankee player, I don't know his name, I can't think of it, but his reaction, he just put his head up in the air like, I cannot believe that just happened. But it's one of those.
Not only that, but there's a third base coach for his team right there. I mean, in the video, you can't see where the third base coach is or what he's doing or if he's saying anything to him. But that's kind of like, I can't stand it. And I know we're getting a little off topic here, but I can't stand it when somebody's coming in and there's a play at the plate and the guy who's going to be batting next is just hanging out over in the on-deck circle. That guy who's batting next, yes, should be telling him, slide to this side, slide to that side, or, whatever it is. And he should be he should be like an air traffic controlman. He should be helping direct that guy into the plate. So just little nuances when people are like, oh, baseball's boring and I can't stand it. That's why I can't. Baseball's not boring, people. You ready? Here, won't we chop this up and put it out there? Baseball's not boring. You're just not smart enough to understand it. All right, how about that? Let's move on before I get myself into too much trouble. The Indians changed their name to the Guardians, right? We talked about it with the Commanders, the Redskins to the Commanders. The Indians changed it to the Guardians. Just a few simple questions for you here, Cheese. I want to see where you're at with it. We know where you are with it with the NFL. Where are you at with it with MLB? So, will you ever wear Guardians gear?
No.
Will you still wear Indians gear? Like if you were going to the game, or if the Indians come and play the Braves or something like that, will you go and wear Indians gear?
Well, if I was a Cleveland fan, then I would wear Indians gear, but I would never wear Guardians gear.
All right.
If I was a fan of the team, yep, I would. Just like if I was a fan of Washington, I would wear Redskins gear. I would never wear Commanders gear.
Understood.
What about you?
I actually kind of like the they had that new jersey with the piping and stuff on it. I like that jersey. It had the CLE on the front of it. I thought that was a pretty neat jersey. Their City Connect jersey is what they're all called. So I like that jersey. I'm not sure if I'd wear it, especially if it cost me a couple $100 to buy one. I'm not paying that much for it, but I would say that I like the look of that. I just don't like it that much. How about that?
So monetary reasons would be your
yes.
Yeah, would be your,
yeah,
okay.
And that's usually the reasons, because I have a wife that likes to spend money too, so we can't both do it.
Okay.
Do you think calling someone an Indian is racist? Not just a baseball team, but if you don't call them Native American, if you call them Indian, is that racist?
I don't think so. American Indian, that's what they were called. Then someone changes Native American, I don't know. I just don't think. Basically, everything is racist, so nothing is racist. Everything you can't say now is racist, so I don't think anything's racist anymore, except for there are a few things maybe, but I don't think it's a big deal. I wish they'd bring back the Indians.
We are on a very steady climb to 100. We are less than 10 live viewers away from 100 right now with us here on the Sportz Truth. Myself, Mike Ballantyne. I can get me at the 643 and out pod. And of course, this is Cheese, and his site on X is at Football with Cheese. Last question here with the Indians, Cheese. Will you root or support the Guardians? Or are you the guy who's like, I don't really like the name change, I don't like any of this stuff, but I do like some of their players, so therefore I can still support their team?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with them. They're one of those franchises. Those franchises, you're not a fan of their team, but when they make the playoffs, you're going to root for them against teams like Yankees, Dodgers, teams like that. So I don't have a problem with them. I like Jose Ramirez a lot. He's probably going to go down as one of those underrated players in MLB history. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with them. I just wish they hadn't changed the name because, I grew up with Indians and logo, and, I still remember they played the Braves in the 96 World Series when I was a little kid. So it was just kind of cool. And the 90s Indians were loaded. They never won a title, but they had so many good players, and I always remember those teams.
All right. I'm with you there. I like it. Kenny Lofton and all that. That's one of the first players I
Albert
think
Bell.
of. David Justice, Albert Bell.
Jim Tomei.
Yeah. A lot of those guys.
Jim Nagy. Yeah.
Here's our last question in the MLB 4-pitch talk, even though it's 5-pitch talk. We gave the guy at the plate an extra pitch today. And then we're going to do our Truth Top 10, and we are going to look at the best current standard NFL uniforms. Here's the last one. Should players get or receive time off? Now, I did this because I live here in Arizona. I cover the Diamondbacks for Locked On Diamondbacks. And this week, I don't know if you saw it or not, Ketel Marte was at the All-Star game and his house got robbed. Joe Burrow got his house robbed when he was in the playoffs as well. I mean, everybody knows where they are, right? They're on national television. Everybody knew that Cattell and his family was at the All-Star game. Everybody knew that Joe Burrow and his family were at the playoff game. So I don't know. I've thought about making a new business venture for myself and hiring some of the officers that I work with at the prison, and we're just going to go through and be like, okay, we're going to start watching millionaires' houses for them while they're away at sporting events and stuff, and we can throw big parties and jump in their pool and all kinds of stuff and get paid for it. Sounds great to me. But so I'm going to ask: should Cattell?
They should hire you. They should hire you. I'm going to message Bro. I'll message him, and we'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good, Matty. Sounds good. I'm sure you got him on speed dial, and you'll do that as soon as the show is over.
He's always texting me. He's very needy. Yeah.
Oh man, Cattell Marte's house got robbed, and he asked for a few personal days from the team. And you'd be surprised how many people out here went totally bonkers about it. They're like, oh, he should be asking for time off. This is when we need him most. And, we're playing the Cardinals, who are ahead of us in the wild card, and la, 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 la. Not considering that he is a human being and his house just got robbed. So should players receive time off for something like that? And then I'm going to do some other examples, and we're going to go yes or no. Should players receive time off for this example and for that example here in just a second? But what about Cattell getting robbed? Do you have a problem with him taking a few extra days off when that happens to him?
Not at all. And some of the more disgusting things I saw online was, oh, he only lost $400,000 worth of stuff. He has a $112 million contract. That's nothing. That's not really what it's about. His family home, he's a wife and 5 kids. What if they were home? Could they have been assaulted? So that's their family home, where he raises his kids, where his wife sleeps, where he reads to his kids before they go to bed.
Right.
And there were people in there violating. I don't have a problem with this at all. Like, that's horrible. And you're right. They're taken advantage of because of their celebrity. And people know they're not going to be home. It happened to Patrick Mahomes, happened to Travis Kelce. It's happened to a few dozen professional athletes. And you made a good point. We talked about, we'll protect their stuff. I guarantee you, every athlete fan base has people that were, prison guards or former military, former police. They will volunteer. You don't even have to pay them. They will volunteer to guest sit at their house, watch the game in the house. We'll make sure no one touches your stuff. We'll stay in the family room. We'll use the family bathroom.
Right. We won't use the good dishes.
We won't use the good dishes. We'll order a pizza. We will not. We will make sure. And if anybody comes in, we got shotguns. We got rifles. They will regret it. They will not make it. So, yeah, I have no problem with him taking those days, and it's disgusting when people say otherwise.
All right. So what about for a death in the family? Should they get 3 days off when someone passes away in their family?
As many days as they need. Absolutely.
Oh, you're going to go with as many days as they need.
Depends on who passes away, but yeah, some people need a long time. Yeah.
Interesting. How about birth? Oh wow, why did I write that down there like that? Birth of a child.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You'd be surprised. I mean, there are people out there who are like, yeah, we have, you have kids every day and you should plan it around the baseball season. And, I kind of sort of get the planning around the baseball season.
Not everything can be planned, though. That's not always planned. Sometimes there's surprises. So you can't.
It's true. It's true.
That's ridiculous. And especially baseball, there's 162 games. You miss 3 games. That's not even that's a very small percentage of the season. That's crazy.
What about a child's birthday?
If it's one game, I don't have a problem with that. It's one game. It's one day.
All right. Wedding, anniversary, something like that. Oh, now we're going to progressively get to where we're going to. Well, I don't know.
No, I mean
this is the decisions that the teams have to make, that the front offices have to make.
the kid's birthday, it's that day, whatever. What anniversary, you can maybe the next day off, we'll do something, we'll celebrate. Because I know people like Valentine's Day, okay, I have to work that day, or it's Tuesday night. We're not doing, but this weekend we'll do something. So I think wedding anniversary, you could probably do it another day, but
yeah, like a workaround or something like that, right?
Yeah, a workaround. As long as you marry the right woman, it should be an issue.
Okay. Or marry the right man. Okay. We're a yes. Whatever you want to do, it's fine. We're okay with it. All right. Well,
are we talking WNBA? Again?
No, we're not going to talk about the WNBA. I don't think ever.
Pay us what you owe us, even though even though they lose $40 million a year. Okay.
Right. Come on, people. And okay, so now you're going to force me to say it because I thought about getting on a high horse about this because that is not. All right, that is not the place to do that. There's a time and a place for everything. At the All-Star game where you're trying to showcase your people and showcase your talent, that is not the spot where you wear a shirt that says "Pay us what you owe us."
Oh, backfired. So bad for them too. Yep.
If it was me and I was running the WNBA, I'd make sure they don't get paid now because they're trying to ruin, the best thing that I've got going for me on a weekend where there's really nothing else going on. So yeah. Anyway. Last one here. What about mental health? This is kind of a hot topic right at the moment. I know at my work, we give people days off because they don't, they're not mentally healthy or they need a break or, back in my day, if you were, shut up and go to work was pretty much what you were told, right? But now we look at it a little differently. So, Cheese, how do you look? Should athletes receive time off for like mental health days or something like that?
I think it depends on what the mental health issue is. But if someone's going through something, mental health, the worst thing you can do is put them in a high pressure situation, in a stadium in front of thousands of people. There are, been times in the past where players have taken a leave of absence from their team for mental health issues. So if somebody's going through something and they don't think they can give their best performance, absolutely, they should be able to take time off.
And the problem with this one is we all think we are privy to that information, right? We all of a sudden we want, well, why is he taking time off? What's wrong with him? Is he, is he not on his meds? Does he take a certain med? Does he, and then we want to know all the details and everything. And these athletes want to keep their lives private, just like you and I do. So it gets to be kind of a mess with all that part. But, I wanted to talk about that here towards the end. Let's do our truth top 10. Let's put some. So has the music been too loud or anything in the background the whole time, or have we been okay with that?
I think the music's been awesome. I think it's the right volume.
All right, fantastic. So let's let this. Let's put a little something in the background here, and let's let this play for a minute. And we are going to do our truth top 10. All right, as we said, Cheese, our truth top 10. We're going to start at 10 and go up to 1 tonight. It is the best NFL standard uniform. Should be interesting. We're not going to do like, the whiteout uniforms, or we're not going to do like, anything like that. We're just going to look at the standard uniform here. So let's get this comment up on from our baseball stuff that we did. And then we're going to go always give players mental breaks. They might have things not everyone can understand. 100%. I understand that, but I also think there's some kind of limit that should be done to those as well. But again, just kind of my opinion here. Let's put this up on the board. The Truth Top 10, the best standard current NFL uniforms. Cheese, you're the guest. You're the co-host. You know what? He's not the guest anymore. I don't know if you guys noticed everything, but I changed all the stuff that goes on the bottom line. He is now officially the co-host of the Sportz Truth right here. So he is the new 643 and out guy. It's always been me, but we gotta make sure we have a second here, and Cheese is gonna make a great one for us here. So we're gonna do that.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome, sir. You deserve it, sir. You want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Well, I want you to go first, but before we do this, I want to disclaimer. So this is the best 10 uniforms of current teams, and it's their, like Michael said, they're standard uniforms.
Either
this
home
is not
or
throwback.
away.
This is not, alternative, jersey. This isn't, what do they call it on Thursdays when they wear the same color? There's a term for it.
I don't know.
Yeah, someone in the chat will probably know, but this is just a current, because if it was old school, my list would be completely different. So it's just current. But I want you to go first. Let's do your number 10.
All right. So let's do that. I have the iconic uniform at number 10. It's probably the only uniform that I would put the word iconic in front of it, because it's been the standard bearer forever, and that is the iconic star on the Dallas Cowboys uniform. That is my number 10. Cheese, give us your number 10.
I have the Miami Dolphins, especially their turquoise jersey. They wear all white a lot, but I like when they wear that turquoise jersey. So I have them at number 10.
All right. Sorry, this is bad podcasting right now. I'm looking up what they call that Thursday night uniform. The Color Rush uniform.
Color Rush. Oh yeah,
I couldn't think of it. It was making me crazy, so I had to Google it real quick.
Seattle Seahawks Color
Rush.
Seattle Color Rush just hurts your eyes. You just can't watch the game.
Yes, it makes the colors rush to my brain, and then other stuff rushes away. So Dallas iconic star is number 10 for me. The number 9, I'm going to make my buddy happy that I work with here. I'm going to make Gomez happy. Even though I'm going to say the Kelly green, and I know that might be like an alternative type uniform, I still like the Philadelphia Eagles uniform. I just think the Kelly green is like the ultimate uniform. I'll do this one more time with another team later on in the countdown as well. But Dallas, number 10 for me. Eagles, number 9. So you went with Miami Dolphins at 10. Who are you going to pick as number 9? So
if the Randall Cunningham Eagles uniform still existed, I would have them in the top 10. So number 9, I went with New England Patriots. I like the navy red and the silver helmets. They're one of the few uniforms that changed from like their original that I think got better. Most of them got worse, but so I went New England Patriots at number 9.
All right. Now, you said when we were talking about this off air that we were going to have 2 different lists. I think you're going to be correct as we start doing this. This is going to be good. So number 8 for me, I don't really care for this team, but I like this uniform. Yeah. And I can't believe that I like this color because, where I work at, orange is a bad thing. But I love the bright orange Denver Bronco uniform. That's what I'm going to go with at number 8.
You like the current Bronco uniform?
Yeah. It's got the little, it's got the orange in it. It's got the white, a little bit of navy blue. I like that color scheme. Especially the orange part of it. So I'm going to use that.
Okay. Yeah, I get the colors. Those are good colors. Number 8, I had one you've already mentioned. I had the Dallas Cowboys. It's, obviously a lot of people I don't like the Cowboys, so their uniforms are bad. No, but their uniforms haven't changed since I was a kid. I've always just kind of liked them, silver and blue. So, yeah, I had the Cowboys at number 8.
Well, very simplistic, just a star, right? Now, they always change it up a little bit for Thanksgiving. I love it when they wear the red, white, and blue stripe on the helmet for those particular games, too. I love that. Just a little bit of change. Sometimes a little subtle change can make a big difference. My number 7, I'm going to go with a real classic look. The classic look of the Chicago Bears. I do like that. I'm not going to put Cleveland in there. I'm not going to do any of that with the solid color pretty much, but I do like that solid navy color of the Chicago Bears, and that's going to be my number 7.
Yeah, I will mention them at some point. Okay. I have them higher, actually. Number 7, I have the San Francisco 49ers. I always just kind of liked their colors. Watching Steve Young as a kid and Jerry Rice, just kind of like that. I guess is it bronze? Is it copper and red? I just always kind of like that color scheme. I'm not a fan of the 49ers at all, but I just always kind of like the uniforms.
Right, and that's what we're talking about today is the uniform.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the team or anybody who wore it. We're just simply looking at the uniform and saying which ones we like best from this current crop of 30 teams. Number 6 for me, and I'm being a little homerish here, but I'm doing it because it's one of the very few uniforms that actually goes with the name of the franchise. The Cincinnati Bengals have always had the stripes and things on the shoulders, so I've always liked how they have infused the name into the uniform. So because of that fact, I'm going to put the Cincinnati Bengals and their striped uniforms at number 6.
Okay. Yeah, the Bengals were under consideration. I did not put them in my top 10. At number 6, I went with, and I'm guessing you probably don't even have this in your top 10. I just really like these uniforms, but when I mention this, a lot of other people don't love them, but I like the New York Giants. I like the NY. I like the blue and the navy pants. I think it's a lot better than just Giants on their helmet. Like when I was a kid, that's what it was. So, like I mentioned with the Patriots, one of the few teams that changing uniforms have got better. So, 6, I have the New York Giants.
And shouldn't it be, when they put the word Giants on the side of their helmet, shouldn't it be really big? I mean, if there's a word in the NFL that's going to be really large on the side of the helmet, shouldn't it be Giant?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think, but the NY is big. But, people that don't like the Giants, I got a friend of mine, he's not a Giants fan. He said NY stands for next year because it's always next year with them. So.
Oh, man. I'll give you another quick one here. And maybe you can ponder this and answer it for me on a future show, but why is abbreviation the wrong word? Anyway, number 5 for me is that, there you go. Think about that one for a minute.
Let's ponder for a minute. Let's just have silence for the next 3 minutes on the podcast.
Okay. Yeah, we'll meditate in thought.
It's
the gray and the classic look of the Detroit Lions. I've always liked that look. I like it I like animals. If you haven't been able to tell here, I've got the Eagles and the Bengals and now the Lions. I like that, and I really like those color schemes together. So for my number 5, I took the gray and the blue, mixed with that little bit of silver for the Detroit Lions.
I get it if it's the 90s Lions, the Barry Sanders Lions. I just, the uniform change, I don't like it all. So it's not like a huge change, but I just thought it was better, like in the 90s, like the Herman Moore, Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
All right.
So my number 5 is a team I don't like, and I don't think anybody likes them, but I just really liked their uniforms as a kid, and because it's classic, and so I couldn't keep them out of the top 5 just because of that. I just liked them as kids. The Kansas City Chiefs. I like the arrowhead. I just think it's cool. So number 5 is the Kansas City Chiefs uniforms. And let me give me all the hate in the comments. Let's go.
Well, that's my good buddy Mitch, who used to host the show with me, and then he's giving me a little more. He's going to find out where you live and he's going to toilet paper your house. That's what he's going to do.
I love the Barry Sanders, Herman Moore uniforms. It's not these.
Oh man. So the next one I'm going to do here, my number 4, is I'm going to do a clean look. Sometimes I think a good clean uniform is a really nice, sharp-looking uniform, and I also love it when you start off with a clean uniform, and by the end of the game, it's got grass and dirt stains all over it, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy right there, man, he has been working today, right? And you can see it on his uniform. So I'm going to go with the white, clean look in the current Arizona Cardinal uniform.
Okay.
So what is your number 4, sir?
My number 4 is the Chicago Bears. Obviously, they're probably my least favorite team, but no, it's a classic uniform. It's a good uniform. It's unique. The C is unique. The numbers are unique. So I remember him as a kid, even though I was a Packer fan. I always just hate to admit it. I've always kind of liked the uniforms.
All right. So I'm going to go over everything, and I'll have you do the same thing when we get to you. Then we'll do our top 3 here in just a second. So starting at number 10 for me, Dallas, Philadelphia Eagles, the Denver Broncos, the classic bear, the Bengal stripe, the gray and blue Lions uniform, the clean white uniform that I believe is the road uniform of the Arizona Cardinals. And then for me, number 3, man, again, this team has been awful, but it's amazing to me how this awful team has all kinds of people buy their merchandise because of the way the uniform looks.
I think I have them high too, but go ahead.
Yeah, I almost put them higher than this, but I put them at number 3, and that is the silver and black of the now Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, I have them coming. Yeah, I get it.
All right, so give us your 10 through 4, and then tell us your number 3.
Number 10, I got the Miami Dolphins, especially their turquoise jersey, not their all white. Number 9, I have the New England Patriots. Number 8, Dallas Cowboys. Number 7, I have the San Francisco 49ers. Number 6, I have the New York Football Giants. Number 5, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 4, I have the Chicago Bears. And number 3, this is going to shock a lot of people, I have the Green Bay Packers. Yes, the uniforms are awesome. They have the yellow gold. I love the yellow gold color. They have the classic dark forest green. These uniforms have been around as long as any uniforms. They're classic. They have never changed. I love the Green Bay Packer uniforms. I have a dozen Green Bay Packer jerseys in my closet right now. The most recent is Jordan.
Just because you wear them doesn't mean that anything to the rest of us, sir. I mean, I can't wait, as I know Mitch is going to nail you for this one. I keep looking over at the comment section like, okay, here it comes. I mean, what other color are you going to make a Green Bay Packer uniform? It's like, oh, it's
Cheese
iconic. It's green.
Cheese.
Of course it's green.
The color of cheese in the helmet. It's perfect. It's great.
All right, I don't know. I'm just going to let that one go.
So Green Bay's your number 1, right? Of course. Okay.
Of course, yeah. My number 1 ugliest. That's probably right there with them. Now, we were talking about this off. We were talking about this off the air. Do you want to do the top 5 ugly ones? Because you're going to be by yourself. I didn't do that. But,
yeah, I'll do the ugly ones once we finish. Yeah, I'll do the ugly
all
ones.
right,
I actually did a list.
Okay.
And one of the ugly ones you actually have already listed.
Okay.
Mitch is threatening violence against me. So you saw that there. So if anything happens to me.
I did see it, but I don't disagree with it. So
I am not suicidal, everyone. I am not suicidal. If anything happens,
you don't need a mental health day or anything like that. So.
No.
Okay, excellent. This one might shock some people, but I've always loved. I like the Philadelphia Phillies throwback uniform because they're the powder blue. I do not like the Cubs whatsoever, but I do like that powder blue look that they've come out with recently with the bear and everything on it. And the powder blue uniform in the NFL is the Los Angeles Chargers. And I just like that blue color along with that little bit of yellow and the white. So I put the Chargers at number 2.
I would have put the Chargers on this list, but I don't like the new design, the most recent, the last couple of years. It was better before then, but I get it. I get what you're saying. The colors are pretty cool. My number 2 is the Las Vegas Raiders, like you mentioned. The silver and black. It's just cool looking. It looks badass. Yeah, they haven't been good. I think, they're taking steps to try to change it, but yeah, Raiders number 2 for me. Our number 1s are going to be different.
I'm sure they are, because I'm going to throw another...
You're not going to pick the number 1 I picked, I don't think. There's no way.
Well, it's not the Packers, so... Oh, by the way, we just did it, buddy. We just hit 100 people with us live. I mean, I know it's towards the end of the show, and everybody's baseball games are getting over, and so they're tuning over into us. But you can catch the rest of the show, because I know a lot of you have missed parts of it. You can do that at our YouTube page. That is at the 643 and Out Pod. So go over, see that. Mitch, one of the guys that's commenting here recently, helped us get that thing going. Thank you, Mitch, for being able to do that for us. We certainly appreciate it. We still talk about you on the show every once in a while, buddy. That's usually with those Detroit Lions, but I think you're okay with that. So my number 1 is pewter color. I've always loved this uniform, and I really put it up here because of I know we weren't supposed to use anything but the standard uniform, but my favorite uniform ever is the creamsicle Tampa Bay Buccaneer uniform. So I put those at number 1. I don't know what he's doing. He's scaring me a little bit here.
What? The creamsicle is the worst uniform of all time.
Oh, no, it is not.
Uniforms of all time. It's dead last for me. If we're going classic, I would have put that last. Really?
No, I love that uniform. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their pewter with the red, I've always liked it, and I love their creamsicle uniform. So go ahead and give us your number 1 that's wrong. So go ahead.
Well, I didn't like your number 1. You're not going to like my number 1, but I just think. Anyway.
Well, count it.
Number 1, I'm going to go with another team that's been around a while. It's a classic uniform, but one thing that's cool about them is they only have the symbol on one side of their helmet. I just think that's cool, and I love the gold yellow, and it goes well with black. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers as my favorite uniforms in the NFL. And I knew your reaction would be like that, but I've always loved the Pittsburgh Steelers uniforms. It's just a cool symbol. It's just cool.
No. All right. I even like Terry Bradshaw, and I'm still not going to go with that uniform. But it does come out. I have to agree here with. Hang on, I was doing that a second ago. I gotta act like I got chaw in my mouth and be like, "Sound kind of splat." He putting up here for us that the Green Bay Packers spell the word green in yellow.
They don't spell the word green. It's just a G.
Oh, I love it. All right, buddy. So you know what? I'm going to give you the floor for a second. Tell us what your 5 worst uniforms would be. I didn't do this list. You said something about it. I was doing other stuff, so I didn't have enough time to do this. But please go ahead and give us that.
Yeah, real quick, I'll just go through it. So I put the Broncos 5, and the reason I put the Broncos 5 is my favorite uniforms of all time are the Broncos 90s, 80s uniforms. Before they started winning Super Bowls. The orange, the lighter blue, not the navy. To me, that's the best uniforms of all time. I remember as a kid, I kind of liked the Broncos because I liked LA and I just love their uniforms. And to me, their uniforms now just don't compare. So I have them bottom 5. Jacksonville Jaguars. Black doesn't go with turquoise at all to me. I never liked their uniforms. Number 3, the Seahawks. I love the Steve Largent, Dave Craig, silver helmet, silver pants with the blue, but all blue, metallic blue, it just doesn't work for me. And especially we call color rush. I just don't like Seahawks. Number 2, I'm going to say the Commanders. I really like the Redskins uniforms. It would have been in my top 5 if they still had those, but the Commanders uniforms, there's nothing to it. It's a weird looking red, and it's just a W. And the worst uniforms, I don't think it's close. I don't know how anybody can't say the Tennessee Titans uniforms are not the worst in the NFL. They are just horrific. The colors, the design, it just does not work for me. And I love the Houston Oilers uniforms. They could have kept those colors, and they didn't.
All right, so give us your top 5 again. Go for your worst 5, I guess. Go from 5 to 1 for us one more time.
Yeah, Denver Broncos 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars 4, Seattle Seahawks 3, Washington Commanders 2, and Tennessee Titans, the worst uniforms in the NFL.
All right, so you timed that just about right, and you can't even see the music off to the side. But you know what? It's about time for us to go, man. It's almost 3 hours of talking. So this is our goodbye music as it plays in the background. Man, we have had a great time tonight. I know all of our fans have had a great time. Once again, Cheese, where can they get you out on social media, buddy? Go ahead and give us 2.
Follow my YouTube channel at Football with Cheese, and Cheese is spelled Cheez. So come check me out. I cover all 32 teams, college football, and I specialize on the NFL draft.
All right. Talk to us here a little bit, man. Not yourself, but the people who are with us still. Do you like the new logo in the background on the television? Do you like the new logo up in the corner? Talk to me about those things and go over to our sites. Hang on. Yeah. I I can never tell what kind of yellow those things are. And brown mustard's a pretty good description of that ugly yellow.
They change their uniforms almost every year, the Jaguars. They need to be relevant somehow.
Right? They got to do something to try to make money.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. But yeah, let me know if you like these new logos that we got put up. Let me know if you like our new co-host, Cheese. I think he's fantastic. So really and honestly, no matter what you say, he'll be here again next week. So we'll run with that. So, hey man, we've been with you for the college football, NFL, Major League Baseball. There was no NBA. We even touched on the WNBA for just a tad, because he's got me going. But other than that, man, everything's fantastic. Do you want to add anything to the end of the show before we say goodbye to our fantastic fans out there?
Just that, it's a real big deal. Michael makes light of it, but he's doing Locked On Diamondbacks. That's a huge deal for him. So make sure you subscribe to that channel and check him out for all things Diamondbacks.
All right, buddy. I appreciate that. And you're right. I'm not gonna.
Okay, he's gone. It's just me. Well, everyone have a great night, and make sure you go subscribe to my channel. Okay. I'm still live.